economy. Chants of free Palestine outside a courthouse in Vermont, where a Palestinian student was released by a federal judge who rejected the State Department's argument of serious adverse foreign policy consequences from Mohsen Madawi's activities. Madawi is a legal permanent resident of the U.S., arrested by ICE during a citizenship interview earlier this month. His lawyers say he was detained over protests at Columbia University, where he co-founded a Palestinian student group with fellow grad student Mahmoud Khalil, who remains detained and is fighting deportation. Several states recovering from the latest round of deadly weather.
3 people were killed in Pennsylvania, at least one, a 22-year-old man, electrocuted in State College as over 70-plus-mile wind gusts brought down trees and power lines, prompting tornado warnings Tuesday.
There is significant damage throughout our city.
Pittsburgh Mayor Ed Gainey crews continue assessing damage. Hundreds of thousands remain without power in part of an onslaught of severe weather from the plains to the northeast, with confirmed tornadoes in Missouri and Oklahoma.
Fox's Jeff Manasso, a risk of more severe weather today in parts of Texas, Tennessee, and Kentucky. America is listening to Fox News.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock, because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
What we see is what we get. Unsettled skies through Thursday night. Mostly cloudy this afternoon. Periods of showers. Couple of thunderstorms possible. 75. Tonight, showers, spot storms here and there. 63. Thursday, showers, spot storms. 76. That's the same story Thursday night. Friday, partly to mostly sunny and 69. A little cooler. Weekend looks great. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Summer is on the way, or should I say the heat in St. Louis, it's on its way. Be here before we even know it. If you haven't had your air conditioners checked and set up and ready to go for this cooling season, or if you were told you might need a new one, or you just think this is the time of the year, this year is the time to just go ahead and replace it. Prices are down. 0% financing is available. It's still the best time to call me. Don't put it off. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois. It is 314-293-2600. Again, that's 314-293-2600 in Missouri and Illinois, or on the internet, bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
St. Louis homeowners, are you thinking about upsizing, downsizing, or relocating this year? Hey, it's Mark Cox. When life happens and you need to sell your home, I recommend you talk to my friend and trusted realtor, Gloria Liu, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria understands every seller situation is unique. That's why she has created custom programs to fit every home seller's needs. Many people move out of necessity, like for a new job or financial challenges. That's why Gloria created her guaranteed multiple cash offer program, giving you up to 6 of the best offers with at least one at 100% of market value, or Gloria will pay you the difference. Plus, you sell faster. Gloria did this for the Miller family in Clayton and got them more money than they were expecting and within their time frame. She did it for them. She can do it for you. Get your offers today by calling Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
I'm Danny Cohn, President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. This past week, the Jewish holiday of Yom HaShoah commemorated the 80th anniversary of the Holocaust and remembered the 6 million Jews who were murdered by the Nazis in World War II. As Jews, when we recall the atrocities of the Holocaust, we say, never again. This is not a slogan or a tagline. It's a responsibility we all share to prevent the systematic hatred from going unchecked. When we work together to fight against prejudice and bigotry towards everyone, we create a better community for everyone.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not a married sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not married sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Hit go.
I'm on. You
Well,
want
the
to
red
talk to
light.
Brad about
No.
it? Because he didn't have me up. We're good now.
Okay, you good?
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Hi. Welcome back.
How do you do this?
Oh, gosh.
Woo!
Well, when you're a pro, you just walk in and you just flip the light.
Well, what am I supposed to do?
You can struggle through this all you want.
Yeah, and
Yesterday
you're
and
gonna
the day
enjoy
before
it.
were great.
But what do you do, Ryan?
Oh, I think people know. It's on record. Get the podcast.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah, it is definitely on record.
Don't listen to 2 o'clock yesterday.
Did we put
There's
the
tons
poll?
of fart jokes.
People made me aware.
Yeah, they
we were
did.
going to talk about that later.
Okay.
Did somebody put the poll up? That's a no. Because normally I do it and I didn't.
I can do it.
Annie's
Thank you.
fresh from a flight.
Yeah.
Can you tell? She just got here.
Back from Washington, D.C. An amazing, amazing 48 hours. And it's been a whirlwind. And I have flown in. I landed at like 10 a.m. Ethan picked me up from the airport. We went on a hunt for Starbucks. Newsflash, the Starbucks at Ballpark Village is not there anymore.
It was literally a hunt.
I didn't know that.
No.
They do have a poke bowl place.
That's not what I was
Yeah,
looking
you could
for.
just get that instead.
Does that come with caffeine?
I don't think so, but you get kind of a sushi high sometimes.
Really?
We went to the Starbucks that's in the Hyatt with where Ruth's Chris is. There were homeless people sleeping in the Starbucks.
No kidding.
Is that just the way things are?
I would
In
think
St.
that
Louis?
when people come in and they sleep on the floor, that's
they
kind
were
of a
in a
line.
chair.
That's probably a Starbucks thing specifically.
I would think that's where you draw the line, though.
Oh, well, I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy that it's raining because all of the kids' activities, at least for my family, on our calendar are no more. So there's a track meet that might be happening, but my daughter's not going to be able to go to it. So we have a free evening, and I have from now until 3:00 back with you in studio here in St. Louis. We're going to talk about my trip. I've got an interview to play for you today, and I'll have another one for you tomorrow that I recorded with a congressman. We have Congressman Darren LaHood. We're going to listen to that one today, and tomorrow we'll listen and watch to the Congresswoman, Mary Miller. And we had conversations, of course, about the 100 days, but I also asked both of those individuals specifically about Illinois. JB Pritzker this weekend. Did you guys use that sound?
We didn't play it.
You didn't play it? Do we have the video somewhere?
Yes, it's Monday.
It's on Mondays. Can
Yeah.
you get the link while I'm talking
Yes.
here about that? And we'll play the video so you can hear it as on Worst. Thanks, Brad. He's the most. A lot of people are saying like Bernie Sanders AOC, but in my mind, I still compartmentalize the Democrats in the like AOC branch, and then the ones who are the other side of like the AOC side, the Bernie Sanders side. They're ideologically fantasy driven
Yes.
socialists.
They're like my 10-year-old daughter.
Yeah, there's this.
Why don't we just share everything?
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, well, okay,
That's a nice idea.
I'm going to tell all you kids to share everything. Bye.
Right.
And then you're like, I can't teach you about communism, but you can teach you about communism.
Exactly.
That sounds fun. I'm going to implement that in my house just for one day, just so that we can walk through the process and have a lived experience. So I don't know, to their credit, the folks on that side of the Democratic Party have some sort of policy-driven idea that they're pursuing. But then you have the J.B. Pritzkers of the world, the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, the Chuck Schumers of the world. To me, it's like the details don't matter at all. They have a playbook, and they can pull a play off of page 84 and run that play. I mean, like you've heard of Nancy talk about the wrap-up smear. You know, we've listened to her explain politically how you can do hit jobs, plant stories, plant ideas, plant topics that will be a key factor of discussion for who knows how long they can ring out of it. And it's just a masterclass in politics. The policy doesn't matter at all. So you have the Democrat Party that exists with this far left, super unrealistic but ideological socialist communist fantasy, super political or super policy based, but no political acumen to really make it effective. And then the other side, they know how to plant a smear. They know how to run a political game. They know how to obstruct in the Senate or in the House. They know how to, implement at a state basis effective politics, but they haven't quite figured out how to make both of those sides of the Democratic Party function together, which is good because if they could figure out how to make the far left crazies functional in government, we'd be screwed. J.B. Pritzker, to me, is the leader, the most prominent person in the Democratic Party on the side of politics. He also does dip a toe into the socialism stuff, but it's mostly cultural.
He borrows the language. I don't think he believes in any of the populist stuff that the far left, the AOCs, the squad people have pitched. I think he believes in that's what people like to hear. So I'm going to say that stuff. But ultimately, it's just whatever is popular right now. I'm going to wind that road and get down it in whatever way necessary.
I would actually disagree with you on that. I think he's a true believer. I mean,
you think he believes in the crazy stuff?
Oh yeah, for sure.
He believes in his money.
Well, yeah, he's got his money, and he's never had to actually try to make ends meet. He's never had too much month at the end of the money. He's never had any of that stuff. You know, he's grown up in one of the richest families, and what is he? The richest politician in America?
World.
And
but he's against the oligarchy.
But he's against
just like Bernie Sanders.
Right. He believes everything until they come for his stuff. But he doesn't believe that they'll come for his stuff because he's one of the good ones.
And he's got stuff to spare.
Right.
Which, we don't. I honestly, I don't really think J.B. Pritzker believes in anything. I think he seeks power. It's kind of weird. I think he actually is what they tried to paint Donald Trump out to be. And, Donald Trump didn't need politics. And politics almost killed him. Donald Trump is alive in spite of politics right now. And J.B. Pritzker, I read these articles about him, and all he does, these articles are often talk about how he was not like he's kind of the black sheep of the family. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that is a reasonable assessment of him when it comes to the Hyatt, because he's from the Hyatt family. I was just saying, did I stay in a Hyatt? No, I didn't. I was at a Hyatt. This is where my mind is.
You went to a Hyatt.
I got Starbucks and a Hyatt. That's about as live as you can get, isn't it?
Did that money go to Starbucks or Hyatt?
I think it went to that homeless man. Probably not. Isn't that the irony of it all? That's a great point that I didn't intend to make.
We did not. I can tell you didn't intend to go there.
That's why they sent me to Washington, D.C.
That's why she's the best of the best.
No, I think that J.B. Pritzker has sought out only for power and thought that with without the qualifications that you need to be able to connect to people, the ability to listen and be driven by what the people want, as opposed to thinking, I know everything and I need to be in a place of authority or in power in order to enact upon the people the right thing. And if they don't agree with me, they just don't understand it yet. That's what puts you in a position to go to a place like a fundraiser in, I don't know, New Hampshire. Why would he be there? And say something like as inflammatory and aggressive. I mean, it's you can't argue with the governor's own words.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now.
These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. They have to understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone that we have. We must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box.
All right. Well, if you had a right winger say that right before the day before January 6th, and then January 6th happened, then the Democrats would be pulling out their hair over the inflammatory language of such a statement. These Republicans should not know peace. What does that even mean?
I also just looked up the word castigate just to be sure.
Ooh.
To subject to severe punishment is the definition.
And it was weird. Why do you have that word of the day toilet paper with you right now?
I just carry toilet paper. I figure might as well have some meaning to it.
Don't like that word.
I don't like carrying the boring toilet paper. The one-ply crap. What?
One-ply crap.
I don't like that stuff.
Okay.
Your fingers go right through it.
God bless. Get a bidet. Do you...
Done.
Is this a step up for JB Pritzker? Because it feels like it's a step up. He's decided to say something that's going to get the headlines, and he was successful in doing it. He wants the attention. He wants to be the president. He wants to be the person that can rally a very fractured Democrat Party and bring them together. And he's doing it with violent rhetoric. That's really what he's doing. And if we're playing by their rules, if Elon Musk said what he just said there, everybody knows how that would go. Would we be defending Elon Musk if he said those types of words when the left was saying, he's inciting violence? I don't know if we would or if we wouldn't, but I would think if it was coming from the Republican side of the aisle, I would think, well, what do they mean by that? When you look at the Democrats and what they've stood for and what their action has been when it comes to political violence, they endorse it and they bail it out of jail. The woman who was the presidential nominee for the Democrat Party was bailing people out of jail who did exactly what JB Pritzker just said that people were supposed to do. They riot, they cause situations that are chaotic, which involve looting and burning of buildings and just total chaos. And that's an intention. That's what they did in 2020. There is something going on with the Democrat Party right now. It is a tantrum-like flail that is causing the Democrats to stoop to foul language around every turn, threats of not letting Republicans know peace, and castigation. JB Pritzker wants to be the heir apparent to the nomination. And if the past is indicative of the future, that can be bought or influenced within the Democrat Party, and they will anoint the person who they think is the right one. I don't think it's JB Pritzker. I don't think people take him seriously on the left either. But he has the money to do what he wants to do. Do you see anybody rallying around JB Pritzker?
Not really.
You do see people rally around Bernie Sanders and AOC.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you absolutely do. That is the passionate far left class of activists that are rallying around them. J.B. Pritzker doesn't have that. You said at the beginning, there's kind of two classes of Democrats. There's the far left, there's the fantasy progressives, and then there's the calculated politicos. He is definitely not the fantasy guy. I don't even think he's really good at the calculated politico stuff either, though. That's the thing, is that this stuff seems like he's got enough money to buy a speechwriter who's going to go, say this line, this will get you attention.
Do you know why people entertain him to the extent that he's entertained? Because he wants to be the guy. He wants a lot of people are saying maybe Pritzker will run for Dick Durbin's Senate seat. He does not want to be one of 100. JB Pritzker wants to be one of one. And he thinks he's going to get there, and he's doing everything he can to lay the groundwork to do that. And the reason why people are giving him the opportunity to speak in the way he's speaking is because if he's not the one, they still need his money. What does J.B. Pritzker stand for? When J.B. Pritzker is pushing back against Donald Trump's immigration policies, he says, I am going to protect my Illinois residents. He doesn't say citizens. He says residents. And you know exactly what that means. It is so good to be back. Washington, D.C. was so amazing. We're going to talk about that throughout the course of the show. So keep it right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And when we come back, former press secretary Kayleigh McEnany, and of course, Fox News co-host of Outnumbered, author, everything, Kayleigh McEnany, right here on the Annie Fry Show next.
He was a buy, well, now he's got one. He ain't seen me crazy yet.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
So Tammy Dittamore and the Dittamore Group is where you go if you're looking to buy a home, if you're looking to sell a home, and to do it with expertise, with people who know the markets that you're working in, whether you're looking to sell and when people are coming in to see your home, to position it in a way that is going to be really favorable to the audience who might be looking to put in an offer. You also want to make sure if you're looking to buy a home and you're using the Dittamore Group, that you work with folks who understand the answers to the questions that you're going to ask. How are the schools? What's the neighborhood like? How far is the fire department? Those types of things. You want to make sure that you work with people who are experts. You don't need a part-time realtor. You don't need somebody who's brand new and fresh and is maybe just dabbling in the realty thing to see if it's what they've got. You get 50 plus years of top-notch experience with the Dittamore Group, the number one office with number one team in the Metro East. You reach out to the Dittamore Group for buying or selling on either side of the river, and you're going to be picking a winner. 618-531-4652, 618-531-4652, online at thedittamore.com.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Triton Exteriors. Not sure if you've noticed, but the storms seem to be especially bad this spring. If you had James Hardy Smart Siding, you wouldn't have to worry about it. It's not going to be damaged like in the 314-day storm. So we do roofing, siding, gutters, fences. We're always going to be the middle bid. We're never going to cut corners. We're never going to take advantage of you. Call 314-717-1159 or triton-stl.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 55 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
This is the best, they say, 100-day start of any president in history, and everyone is saying it. We've just gotten started. You haven't even seen anything yet. It's all just kicking in. And week by week, we're ending illegal immigration. We're taking back our jobs and protecting our great American auto workers and all of our workers, frankly. We're protecting.
Well, the president speaking last night at a rally, it was very classic Donald Trump rally. Kind of missed it a little bit. And we're celebrating 100 days of Donald Trump and the successes that he has implemented. And I can't wait to have our next guest on. Kayleigh McEnany joins us once again, co-host of Outnumbered on Fox. She, of course, is a former White House press secretary as well and worked very closely with Donald Trump. Kayleigh, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you here.
Hey, Annie, great to join you.
Thank you. Give me your quick assessment here of the first 100 days, especially as somebody who knows what it's like to work with Donald Trump. The atmosphere and the climate for him has been different in the second term. He's got a mandate. He seems to be enjoying himself. How do you feel 100 days in?
You know, he has, I would characterize it as 100 days of action. It's consequential. It's perhaps remaking the system of government as we know it, certainly economically when you look at the tariffs. And I think there's just such a difference between the first 100 days of his first term and now. He's going in. He knows he has a mandate to lead, a tailwind behind him, highest popular vote, raw vote, total count of any Republican president ever. So, you know, pretty big victory there. And he knows he has to act quickly. And he knows that things will get tied up in the court, as we've seen. And I think the name of the game is act quickly, make bold change. And then, you know, you have the next 4 years to hash it all out in the courts and to finalize what his vision is, which is a total transformation of American society where we are freer, we have more money in our pockets, manufacturing is robust, and we're ultimately stronger on the world stage.
We're speaking with Kayleigh McEnany, co-host of Outnumbered on Fox. You know, one thing I heard the president say when he was asked about it, he goes, well, we've pretty much everything that we were looking to do, we've either done it or we've started it. And Kayleigh, I understand you are expecting once again another child. Very big congratulations to you on that.
Thank you. Yes,
I've thought a lot about the transformative way that this administration is leading so much big, bold change that I'm actually starting to think about my children's future in this country with a little bit more hope. And I don't know if that's if I've just talked myself into it, but what are your thoughts as a mom on what they're doing right now to make things new and hopeful?
Yeah, I love that you frame it that way. You know, I'm pregnant with my third child, and you do think about things differently. One of the problems with politics is everything you think about in the short term. You know, I think many presidents go in, well, I'll spend what I have to spend to create a legacy. You know, I want to be the next FDR. I want to be the next Reagan. You know, let's do what we have to do and let future generations deal with it. And finally, you know, in Elon Musk, you saw him come in with Doge, and he's trying to remedy and fix things for future generations. I always frame it as, you know, how is it fair that people, you know, we're swiping the credit card and, you know, my 5-year-old Blake and my 2-year-old Nash and the baby in my belly have to pay the bill. It makes no sense. And, all of the flack that Elon Musk got for trying to remedy the debt, and now Trump's getting on tariffs. I get it. No one wants short-term pain. But the long-term gain, it's not just for us. It is for future generations. And I love that you frame it that way. Because that's what you have to think about is how is this going to look, American society, 50 years from now, not just 5 months from now.
Kayleigh, I think I'm a millennial myself, on the older side of the millennials, but we have grown up through some things. I was a senior in high school when 9/11 happened, and we've seen the market crash in 2008 and going to 2009 with the housing situation. And we've had COVID. We kind of have this steady drumbeat of every 8, 9, 10 years there's something really calamitous that ends up happening. And so you just kind of drudge through, you put your head down and you keep working. And if the reset, the way the president and his administration is looking at it, is successful, I don't think it's just politics and the economy. I think the culture can change as well. Hope can do a lot to a people.
Yeah, and that to me is the biggest and most insidious problem we have, and it's not even a government problem. Look, it's a big deal that China thinks economically out decades, and we think out months and years. That's a huge problem. But bigger than that, to your point, I think is the culture and the idea that we've seen in Pew, for example, over the last decade. Christianity slide, the number of people professing Christianity slide, but there's been a total kind of boomerang where for the first time we see that those professing faith is on the rise. Gen Z, particularly 18 to 24-year-olds, are returning to church. There is this resurgence of religious freedom at the court, a respect for life, hopefully on the rise again in the wake of the Dobbs decision. You are seeing a cultural boomerang where I think there's this vapid social media culture that is being rejected, and among young people, a return to the moorings of tradition and faith that really matter. And ultimately, I mean, that's the biggest problem we have in American society. And I'm not sure America sustains without a return, to tradition, to faith, to the bedrock principles of family that have made this country the greatest on earth.
Yeah, I amen to all of that. Kayleigh McEnany with us right now, the co-host of Outnumbered on Fox. You're the former White House press secretary. You were in the midst of COVID, right? The person who would come out and help guide our country through from the podium when it wasn't, I guess, Vice President Mike Pence. Sometimes the president would speak as well. How do you feel in second-term Trump compared to your experience of working with the press in first-term Trump? Does he still endure the same kind of antagonism that he had before? How are they weathering the storm?
I think that's a really interesting point that you bring up. I know everyone says the press is still hostile, and they certainly are. I mean, you just look at media research finding 97% negative coverage. That's all true. I watch all of the networks, the liberal ones, to kind of see what they're saying, and it is without question they're negative. But there is a certain amount of eating crow that I think has been going on, a little bit of humble pie. The press seems to have had the life kind sucked out of them. They're not quite as fervent, as passionate. You saw it this week at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where there was an admission that they did not do their job in the Biden era. So while they're negative, hostile, certainly, there's a certain amount of introspection going on. And I think you see it with the level of decorum and respect in the White House briefing room now. There's no longer shouting as you walk out. I would have one guy shout me down and say, why is the administration killing so many Americans, which was a preposterous thing to say. We were in a global pandemic and all working as hard as we could to save as many American lives as possible. But that kind of fervor and anger is gone. Still negative, still not a good thing. But I think there's a little bit of introspection. How long that lasts, I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah. And I think the interesting part of that introspection is it never would have happened if the American people wouldn't have forced it on the press, stopped watching, stopped reading, stopped interacting, and stopped voting the way they were being told. But last question before we let you go, Kayleigh, we really appreciate your time here today. When you brought up the White House Correspondents' Dinner, I appreciate that because when they said, wow, we really missed the mark on covering the mental decline of the President of the United States, I'm sitting here thinking, well, there's still time to cover it and investigate it and to get us some answers and to expose the truth of what actually was. That's, in my opinion, how you would repay back the American people on what you didn't do. Do you think we'll learn any more about the president's mental capacity when he was in office?
I fear the answer to that is no. I mean, the press, you're right, has not picked up the mantle that they admit that they dropped. And, for the life of me, I do wish that our Republicans in Congress would force this as an issue. I wish there was a special investigative committee like there was the January 6th committee into the mental decline of the president. And the purpose is not to, hash old arguments out or, throw something in someone's face. I think it serves a forward-looking purpose. The idea that you could have a diminished commander-in-chief for 4 years, really, if you look at it, and it be hidden from the American people, us being told everything's okay. It's a cheap fake. It's a figment of our imagination. It is a concern. It's a huge concern. And how to figure out a way to make sure that doesn't happen again, I think is in the public interest. And I really wish Republicans in Congress would add a little fervency and investigate that the way the left investigated January 6th with such ardor and passion.
Yeah, absolutely. Kayleigh McEnany, a pleasure to have you here as always. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Annie. I appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye. The co-host of Outnumbered on Fox, former White House press secretary, author of Serenity in the Storm. If you're looking for a good read, reading Kayleigh's story is a really interesting one. She's so young and she has done many things. People talk about Carolyn Levitt as a press secretary. She's 27 years old. Kayleigh McEnany is in her 30s and she's had quite a successful career so far, but she's doing it as a mom as well now with her third one on the way. And I enjoy watching her. And, she was coming on the Annie Fry show on Saturdays when she was a spokesperson for the RNC almost 10 years ago now. So it's pretty cool to be able to talk to her and relate to her in a way that I don't think every guest, has that connection the way we do with her with that show. That's cool.
Babies having babies, man.
Babies having babies.
So young.
She's probably young enough to be your child.
You need to get less sleep more often. You were on fire.
Thank you. Am I?
Yeah, several times in that interview. She said, that's a great point.
She's being nice.
I think what you need to do is go home. Do not sleep tonight.
No.
Come back tomorrow. Change the world.
Do you know how much and how hard I'm going to sleep? Like, shortly.
Well, then tomorrow is not going to be a very good show.
Because I'll be rested?
Because you'll be rested.
Thanks.
You need to get less sleep overall and just firing on all cylinders all the time.
Gosh, I missed you guys.
Yeah. We were talking quite a bit yesterday and Monday. It just doesn't seem like it because you weren't here.
Yeah.
You were on for an hour for each show. So.
Each show, which was cool. That work out okay?
Oh, yeah.
I think so. Going into it, I think Brad was more nervous than anybody because of all the tech that had to go. And you were dealing with a lot more tech than usual.
Yeah. Usually Brad does all of it.
Yeah.
He was on one end and I was on the other.
I was just trying to figure out how to oddly facilitate what was not an interview with you.
What did you do?
You were here for it. You heard. I would say, this is the Annie Fry show. I'm Ryan Wiggins. It's not the Manny Fry show because Annie's here, but she's not here. She's in DC.
And then and then I talked to her.
And then I just go.
Ryan was very concerned about how is this going to sound? Because it's not going to sound like an interview and it's not going to sound like this. And how is this going to sound? I was like, it's supposed to sound a little different because she is in DC. And that's part of the charm.
Do you mean just the quality of the sound?
No, not the audio sonic quality.
Were you just wondering if we
just
would
how do we set
people?
This up? Because I wasn't interviewing you. You were on the show, but then you weren't coming in and out of segments. So I was still kind of setting you up. I was like, Brad, what am I doing? And then it was fine.
Isn't that the way it usually goes?
Yeah.
We figure it out. Wiggins America. Have you done a Wiggins America this week yet?
Not really. We've booted on all of them because we were talking to you for the whole hour. So we didn't really come back to it.
So you've got a stack of content and you just took the best one. What is it?
Too much content. How much does your phone know about you?
Probably more than I know about myself.
We're going to find out.
All right. We'll do Wiggins America on the Annie Fry Show next. I am so excited to be back. Thank you for everybody who has watched the videos, the interviews that we posted yesterday with Senator Eric Schmidt. I was able to visit him in his office in the Senate building. That was a really cool experience. We sat down, we had a conversation. You can see that on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. You can also see a couple questions that I asked Congressman Mike Bost. I was able to visit him as well. We're going to watch the Darren LaHood interview, listen to the Darren LaHood interview here in probably a little bit less than an hour. So stick around for that. We're so glad you're here. We'll be right back.
I never pay for my drinks. My uncle
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Point Pest Control. That's point with an E. PointPestControl.com. They are there to help you with your mosquitoes. Have you guys seen any mosquitoes around here yet? Have you gotten bit?
Had one in my truck on the way into work today.
Did you call Point Pest Control?
No, I just smashed it. If I see more, I will.
Well, if Point Pest Control can't do it, just call Brad. He'll just smash them all. He'll come.
Brad smash.
Brad can come right before your party, like Point Pest Control can do, and he can just kill them all. Point's going to be like, no, don't tell him. 636-798-0023. Reach out to Point Pest Control and if you're like having an outdoor event, birthday party, some sort of graduation maybe, or you're having folks over and you're going to be outside enjoying the pool, enjoying the backyard, enjoying the deck, make sure that Point Pest Control takes care of that mosquito problem for you so that you don't have to worry about them with your guests, especially when you got little kids. You do not want them to be getting eaten up by those icky mosquitoes. They'll come out and spray before your outdoor gathering, and then you won't have to move inside. 636-798-0023, 636-798-0023. Call Point Pest Control. Find them online at pointpestcontrol.com.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you're still healthy and qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
Farming's hard. To feed the world, farmers have to work the land, brave the elements, and fight the battle against weeds. Weeds reduce crop yields, so prices go up and everybody gets less to eat. But 50 years ago, farmers got a new tool to fight weeds, glyphosate. It kills weeds while protecting the harvest. Time and again, it has been approved by the EPA and by leading regulatory bodies around the world. It helps enable practices that reduce erosion and keep soil healthy, which is good for the earth. Farming's hard, but it's a little easier with glyphosate. Learn more at go.bayer.com/glyphosate. Paid for by Bayer.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
The YouTube live chat poll today is about Trump's first 100 days. Today's day 101. Grade the first 100 days of the Trump administration. It's your typical A, B, C as 1, D, or F. So let us know what you think about today's YouTube live chat poll and grading the Trump administration. We've asked you this question before, but of course now we actually have hindsight to be able to grade the first 100 days. 12:45. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Wednesday afternoon, Mike Elam is hosting the Mark Reardon Show. He will be having Congresswoman Ann Wagner join him to discuss President Trump's first 100 days in office. It all starts after Fox News at 3.
The Mark Reardon Show. Weekdays from 3 to 6. This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I can't begin to know it, but then I know it's growing strong. Wasn't the spring, and spring became the summer. Who'd have believed you'd come along?
What kind of song is this? Like, what is this? Pop? What is this?
Touching
It's great. Do you know what I'm saying? Lounge.
Reaching
No.
out,
I would actually say it's loungier than it is rock.
touching you.
What
not a
kind of
ballad.
lounges are you in? Maybe is it pop?
Leather,
Red?
a lot of velvet. I don't know.
Did you say the Red Velvet Lounge?
Oh boy.
I said red. I said leather.
We're going to get to Wickens America here in just a second. A reminder that today's YouTube live chat poll is to grade the president's first 100 days. Do you have one of those? I thought you gave me one, but
I'm going to do a parody of that song and just put Levitt in there.
Caroline.
Sweet Caroline Levitt.
Google's AI overview says it is generally considered a soft rock
Soft
or
rock.
a pop
Soft
rock or a pop song rather than a rock song.
Thank you.
Has
That's
elements of rock, but its overall style and instrumentation lean more towards pop
Soft
music.
rock. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Soft rock.
That's what it is. Back from Washington, D.C., got in this morning at about 10 a.m. Ethan picked me up from the airport, brought me straight to the studio. I am sitting next on my left to my suitcase and on my right to my personal item that went under the seat.
And your curling iron.
It's not hot anymore. I unplugged it. Yeah.
Have you ever told the people what you do, like to me, how you interact with me and Ryan regarding that?
Why don't you tell the people?
So
You started it.
anytime that Ryan or I walk over to the corner of the room that Annie makes her own from 12 to 3,
It is about a fourth of the room.
she looks at us and just says, hot.
Well, I don't. I'm
And then she
talking.
kind of looks at,
It's going to turn
points
into
at
an
the,
HR
Like when
problem.
you tell this to a kid near a stove.
she point, yeah, but that's hot. Yeah,
Have you guys
hot.
seen how attractive? This is gonna make Brad look bad. Ethan and Ryan. Have you seen how attractive these men are? You need to get on the YouTube channel and give the video a thumbs up if you think at least one of them is attractive.
What
Ryan,
the
look,
heck are you talking about? Where did that come
I
from?
thought we were talking about a curling iron.
I know. What is she saying? She's just suddenly revealing how hot we are?
DC changed her.
Suddenly revealing.
DC changed her. You know, they talked yesterday about making sure that DC didn't change you, and
it did.
It did.
You said
She's part of
that
the swamp now.
you said, Ethan, that you and Ryan walk over to me and I
Yes.
point at you and say hot.
No, you look at us and you say hot, but you're pointing at the curling iron.
Yeah, that is true. Every day.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins!
Anyway,
There are days I long for her to just have straight hair. Just have straight hair. You know? So you don't have to hear hot. 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 Hot.
you almost
my
touched it
gosh.
today before I told you.
Did you really, Ryan?
Well, almost, because
Yeah.
there was something right near it that I had to grab, and
Right.
she went.
She tells you that every day, and you still forgot.
Yeah. That's why she says it every day. Because
'Cause I care
otherwise,
about
she
you,
knows
Ryan.
I would just go over there and grab it.
You're fitting into the stereotype.
How much does your phone actually know about
Thanks for getting
you?
us back on track. How much does your phone know about you? I've got a couple questions for you to make sure that you are letting it know only what you want. So you can let it know everything about you or as little as possible. But the first one is location tracking. Every time you check the weather, tag your location on Instagram, or ask Google Maps for the quickest route, you're sharing your whereabouts. That's thanks to location tracking, a feature built into most apps and devices that uses GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. This is how they ping off of cell towers to know how the traffic is. A lot of times is how fast people are moving. The catch is many apps track you even when you're not using them. So how much does your phone know where you are, Brad?
I have most of those apps, except for my Maps apps, set to only when using.
Me too.
If you've got your Maps app doing it, then it's doing it.
Well, even like I use Waze, and I turn it off on Waze unless I need to know what time I need to leave to make it to my location by another time. So at that point, it's
every
like, hey,
time you turn your you turn your location on and off in your Maps.
No,
app?
I have it set to only while using. And then if I'm like, hey, I want to make it by this time and have it send me a notification to leave, then it tells me I have to turn it on, turn it to always. So for whatever time that is that I put that destination in.
This drives me crazy because I have mine set the same way. Where only while using app will it allow, I let it track me. But then whenever I open the app, a lot of times, depending on which app it is, it goes, oh, you're gonna allow us to track you now? Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
You're gonna hit the button now. Thank you very much.
More accurate times.
Takes it personally.
Turn it on.
Exactly.
I was like, you kind of want that information a little too much there, bud.
I agree. And I don't like it, but I still go through with it because I don't want it to know where I am all the time. Annie?
Yes. No, I'm Life 360 with my family. If you have it on with an app, you have it on. You're not gonna if you turn it off with other. I mean, the reason to turn it off with other apps is because they're gonna target you and send you ads when you're using your apps that are like, oh, you want Papa John's because we have a Papa John's in our building, and it's like you might be hungry. We're being tracked in so many ways. We're being tracked in so many ways.
Mm-hmm. It's but to me, this is taking the control back from the man, from big tech. This is what you have to do. You have to go through it every single day, every time you open
worth it.
an app. And I still grit my teeth. I'm like,
I
you're
bet
not
you
getting it.
there are 5 apps on your phone tracking your location right now that you don't realize are tracking it.
That's possible. But when I install them, I try to make sure that I tell them no. Ethan?
Yeah, because don't a lot of them, they say like, oh, we would, to get more information or to get more extra data from you, would you be okay with enabling us to track this certain amount of information? And I try to always say no to those. There's a couple, like mine's always on, I think, for probably Maps and Life 360 and some of those things like that. But as far as the extra data from some of just the apps that I don't think are specifically looking for location, I try to say no to those.
The second one it leads us into is app permissions. How much are you giving overall permissions to different apps?
Oh, well, maybe that's what I was talking about.
Like your camera?
Accessing your camera, your contacts, your microphone, maybe even your calendar are all part of certain apps that want permissions to do these things. Usually when you install them is when you're giving them that permission. You can go back and change it. It's just a little tougher. Regularly auditing your app settings usually can tell you which of your apps have access to what. And to what extent, I'm assuming, Brad, since you don't do location, you're not really allowing a lot of apps to track your phone, your camera, your microphone.
I don't really, like, whenever I first download an app, I don't give it a lot of permissions and I see how much will function without. And that's what I usually do.
It drives me crazy using social media sites because I only give it access to the picture I'm using at that moment. And then I go in to post it and it's like, no, you don't even have that picture. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Oh, I got to go into the settings.
Select photos.
Go select the new photo that you have access to now, then post the photo. But I still do it because I'm like, I think I'm still beating you. I don't know if I don't
know that you are,
but it feels like I might be. Ethan, how much access are you giving your apps?
So I don't have any social media apps on my phone. I use Safari because I use Safari because it's harder to navigate on them. I try to like make that be a reason to keep me off them a little bit.
You're better than me.
I don't have the apps, so I don't know what I have Safari. What Safari has access to as far as they have access to my photos because I still like post on the occasion. But as far as camera and microphone, I'm not sure. I'll need to go and check this. But I guess that's kind of the main thing I feel like that you're checking those things for is social media, right?
Mainly, yeah, especially for the microphones and the cameras and all that stuff. Last one of the things that you need to be watching for is mobile ad ID. Behind the scenes, your phone is assigned a unique string of numbers and letters called Mobile Advertising Identifier. It helps advertisers track your behavior across apps and websites to build a profile of your interests.
This is how a lot of times you say something out loud and then all of a sudden you see something on Facebook, but you forget that while you were saying it out loud and talking to someone, you Googled like a part of that said thing, and now it's showing up somewhere else. You're inputting things in one app for one particular reason, and then it gets shared out, and now that something else knows to sell you that thing.
This is creepy, but it also is extremely helpful. Like right now, I'm thinking about my drive home and saying, corn dog. I would really like them to let me know, oh, reminder, you're driving by Sonic right now. Get a corn dog. But you don't have to let it
Very
do all
random.
that.
Is Sonic paying you?
Ryan's using ads as reminders.
Corn dog.
I just want to say it very clearly.
Right now, I'm just sitting here, and the one thing that comes to mind is corn dog.
Corn dog, don't forget the mustard. And I don't care where it has one, but I know Sonic has them. Anyway, those are some ways to privatize your life, to keep that little robot in your pocket from taking you over, which is slowly doing. And 876.
Deroy Murdock next on the Annie Fry Show. We'll be right back.
How can I hurt one
If you're a homeowner, it's time to upgrade your windows with Window World. Mark Cox here. I am a satisfied customer. I love the windows they put in my house, and there's a reason they're ranked number one in the number of windows sold in this country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. They have that lifetime warranty. It covers all the parts, the glass breakage, the labor. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And in over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and the thermal efficiency of over 76,000 customers in the greater St. Louis area. Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing, with approved credit. And I think the customer service sets them apart from the rest of their competition. And they have an excellent track record with the Better Business Bureau. They've also raised a lot of money, over $3 million for local and national charities. So be sure and check them out. Call them at 314-993-1800. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. You can also go to windowworld.com.
Oh, Stewie, thank you so much for sponsoring the Washington, D.C. trip that I just got done taking. I love the partnership that we have here on the show with Stewie because he's a wonderful person and he has a really great opportunity for you. And now that I'm able to talk to you about that, of course, on the air, the bagel loan is something that I've done twice as a refinance on my mortgage for the house I bought in 2015. The rate that I had in 2015, I've lowered twice with a bagel loan refinance, and I paid $0 to do that. I was able to secure that lower rate, and I got that bagel loan. It's the only place you can get a bagel loan, and that's with Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. Call him directly. You can text him as well, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Connect with Stewie, tell him Annie sent you, and ask him how a bagel loan can help you for a new home purchase, or if you're looking to do a cash-out refinance or just a regular refinance. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Cardinals fans, there are more ways this season to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. For the first time, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. Monthly, seasonal, and annual packages available. Also new this season, you can stream FanDuel Sports Network through Amazon Prime Video with an add-on subscription. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
History is happening in D.C. and 97.1 FM Talk is on the inside. Our very own Annie Fry has been selected to join the national press pool covering President Trump's 100th day in office.
I'm going to Washington, and you're coming with me.
Exclusive access, unfiltered insight, local coverage, and we're inviting you along.
I'm Annie Fry, reporting from the White House throughout the day on 97.1 FM Talk.
Annie Goes to Washington is presented by Stewart's American Mortgage and Grasser Electric. KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000 5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
President Trump defends his agenda. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. He's sticking with his plan to fuel investment and economic growth, in part through tariffs, after a morning sell-off on Wall Street, with the U.S. economy shrinking in the first quarter.
I'm not taking credit or discredit for the stock market. I'm just saying that we inherited a mess.
The president taking questions from reporters at the end of a cabinet meeting after posting this is Biden's stock market earlier today. The U.S. economy contracting by 0.3% in the first quarter, but the president emphasizing a big jump in gross domestic investment ahead of a meeting later today with business leaders. During the cabinet meeting, one reporter asking Secretary of State Marco Rubio whether a formal request has been made for El Salvador to return a migrant mistakenly deported there, Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Well, I would never tell you that. And you know who else I'll never tell? A judge. Because the conduct of our foreign policy belongs to the President of the United States and the executive branch, not some judge. So we will conduct foreign policy appropriately if we need to. But I'll never discuss it. And no one will ever make us discuss it because that's how foreign policy works.
The administration insists Garcia is a gang member, which his attorneys and family deny. Rubio also says they're no longer giving student visas to people who come to the U.S. to create disruption. A federal judge in Vermont releasing Palestinian student Mohsen Madawi, who was arrested by ICE agents earlier this month during an interview about finalizing U.S. citizenship.
To President Trump and his cabinet. Yes. I am not afraid of you.
Madawi leading chants of free Palestine outside the courthouse. He founded a Palestinian student group with Mahmoud Khalil, another Columbia University grad student with a green card who's been fighting deportation. The judge in Khalil's case in Louisiana accepting a State Department rationale rejected by the judge in Vermont. America's listening to Fox News.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
What we see is what we get. Unsettled skies through Thursday night. Mostly cloudy this afternoon. Periods of showers. Couple of thunderstorms possible. 75. Tonight, showers, spot storms here and there. 63. Thursday, showers, spot storms. 76. That's the same story Thursday night. Friday, partly to mostly sunny and 69. A little cooler. Weekend looks great. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been asked many times how Morgan & Morgan became the largest injury firm in the world. I think I know. When someone comes to us for an on-the-job injury, we have a huge workers' compensation practice. But many times we find a defective product that was responsible for that injury. Luckily for them, we have a product liability section headed by my son, Mike. In addition to the comp case, there is a product case too. Other times, the injured worker is fired or harassed for bringing that claim. We have them covered. Our employment lawyers handle retaliation claims as well as wage theft and discrimination cases, and in some cases need to file for Social Security benefits. No problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
artisticdecks.net. I'm going to tell you what, I've been traveling, of course, you guys know that. I am so looking forward to going home and sitting on my deck and enjoying the quiet of my own backyard. Do you know what that feeling is like? Maybe you've wanted to have that feeling and you've been waiting for the time the right time to be able to afford something and to be able to get it on the schedule. And that's why I want you to know about artisticdecks.net, because they have affordable decks that they can put on your home and they can get you on the list this summer. You can be enjoying that beautiful deck on the back of your home. All you got to do is call 314-280-0821. Have a conversation with them. Participate in that custom design process where they're going to be able to deliver you the deck of your dreams at an affordable price with the best experience in the business. You want that deck on the back of your home? Now is the time to call 314-280-0821. 314-280-0821. Call my friends at Artistic Decks and make sure you tell them Annie sent you. Artisticdecks.net.
I'm Danny Cohn, President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. This past week, the Jewish holiday of Yom HaShoah commemorated the 80th anniversary of the Holocaust and remembered the 6 million Jews who were murdered by the Nazis in World War II. As Jews, when we recall the atrocities of the Holocaust, we say, never again. This is not a slogan or a tagline. It's a responsibility we all share to prevent the systematic hatred from going unchecked. When we work together to fight against prejudice and bigotry towards everyone, we create a better community for everyone.
Celebrate April with store-wide savings on all in-stock jewelry at The Diamond Shop, located at 12 North Central in Clayton. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. Stop in today.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
I love this guy. There is nobody smarter or tougher than Stephen Miller. Stephen, say it. Who's enjoying 100 golden days of America? President Trump has achieved the most secure border in American history. He's fighting violent crime. He's fighting the drug cartels. He's cutting your taxes. He's cutting wasteful spending. He's draining the swamp. He's standing up to the radical left. He's standing up to the communists, and he's making America stronger than it's ever been. President Trump will never stop fighting for you, your children, and your family. And President Trump will make sure that in this country, not illegal aliens, not criminals, not gangbangers, but American citizens come first, last, and always. Thank you. And thank you, President Trump, for being the greatest president in American history.
Stephen Miller always has a point to make, and he is very good at getting straight to it. The 100 days are upon us of the first part of Donald Trump's second term. And a lot of people, of course, have a lot of opinions about it. Let's get ours from our friend Deroy Murdock. Joins us once again, nationally syndicated columnist, Project 21 ambassador, and a Fox News contributor. Deroy, thanks for being with us today. It's good to have you back.
It's great to be with you again, Annie.
So 100 days in, are you celebrating? Are you saying, we need some more time? Is it a disaster? How do you feel about the president's administration?
Well, I think 100 days in, generally good. I think I give Trump tremendous credit for a couple big things. Number one, audacity, just the fact that he is taking on such major challenges. He's not doing what Daddy Bush said back when he was running for re-election. Bush Sr. was asked, what is your agenda for your re-election if you're in another term? He said, I'll just manage the inbox. That is not Donald J. Trump. He doesn't just manage the inbox. He is taking incredibly bold and in many cases very risky moves in many directions. I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. The tremendous energy. I mean, whether you like what Trump is doing or not, everybody has to admit, here's a guy who gets up early in the morning, goes to sleep late at night, and this guy works all day long, particularly compared to the last administration, which was maybe like a 3 or 4 volt battery. This guy's the Energizer Bunny. And I think the transparency has also been tremendous. The amount of questions he answers, the press access that the access the press has to him and to people around him, the declassification of records, that sort of thing. There's a real emphasis on transparency on the part of this administration. As far as policies that have been successful, I think the fact the border has been basically sealed shut. I think the getaways are, I think border crossings in general are down about 93%. I think I saw that the gotaways are down 95%. The number of people just released to the border, I think one day it was just like 9 people total, something like this, versus thousands and thousands a day on the part of Biden when he was there. That's been a huge success. I think the overall attack on crime, including illegal alien criminals, that's been very positive. I think sort of the areas that I think obviously need more work, the tax cuts were moving in that direction, but I really wish that those were either already signed or at least have a bill being debated on the floors of the House and Senate at this point. It looks like they're still, weeks away from that. I wish that had happened earlier. I think the tariff thing is a big question mark. If that leads to better trade deals and better terms for American exporters soon, that will be a very good thing. If this continues to drag on and not be settled one way or the other, I think it's going to delay the economy, and I should say restrain the economy and delay the return to prosperity, which is obviously something that's a big concern to a lot of people. And then areas where I think I'd really like to see a lot less of, and this ties into something that happened just the other day in Canada with the re-election of the Liberal Party, 5 more years of Canadian socialism now under a man by the name of Carney, who's sort of like Justin Trudeau without the good looks. A big part of the reason that happened, I think, is that Trump, we're talking about turning Canada into the 51st state, and I think at one point said this is not a worthy country, or words to that effect. He shouldn't be talking about our allies and our friends that way. And it's one thing to joke about it once or twice, but to say it over and over and over again. I think a lot of Canadians are very upset about this. And he just led to a situation that people thought, well, we have a two-word response for Donald J. Trump, and it's not Merry Christmas or Happy Easter. And the result is the election of this man Carney, and now 5 more years of big government socialism in Canada at a time where it looked like the Conservative Party actually was going to get in, and that's going to be delayed for at least 5 years. And that's a big negative for Canada, and big negative for us as their neighbor.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment. I think it's a good look at the course of all of the different things that have taken place so far. I think that, you're not going to go 100 days or any amount of days if you're really trying to do things in a big, bold way, the way this administration is doing. You're going to make mistakes along the way. We know Donald Trump has, a lot of people think it's his number one weakness, but I think it kind of comes along with his strength and the way he speaks and the willingness to kind of put people back on their heels a little bit. Do you feel as though the speed with which he has addressed so many things, has he taken on too much at one time? Or if you want to make transformational change before a midterm election, is this the right pace?
Yeah, I think that there is a positive to doing as many things as he has done all at once, which is it is left of the left, that's small L and capital L, left the Democrat left and Democrats, incapable of knowing where to focus. If you say, hey, we're just going to work on the tax cut and do nothing else and spend 100% of our energy on the tax cut, then the left could say, all right, we're just going to scream and yell about taxes and maybe be able to mount a credible defense against what he wants to do. But when you've got the tax cut going on, and tariffs, and DEI, and the border, and Greenland, and on, and everything happened at one time, these people just don't know where to aim their rifles. I think that's probably a terrible analogy. Where to aim their slingshots. So let's use that one, maybe a less dangerous analogy. And I think that's part of the reason he's been able to be as effective as he has been, is that the left is not able to coalesce against any one particular policy. So I think that's probably smart. I think you're right. There are some mistakes that will be made when you're going at that kind of a pace, but I think he's trying to get a whole lot done in not a lot of time. And I wish the sense of urgency were as great on Capitol Hill, where I wish they would be taking, again, the tax cuts should have happened already. And I think they ought to be taking his executive orders and turning them into statutes, which are much harder to reverse if, God forbid, we have President AOC or President Cory Booker in 2028 or 2029. It's going to be a lot harder for them to reverse what he's trying to do if these executive orders are turned into statutes rather than just executive orders, which can be reversed just with a stroke of a pen.
Yeah, I am excited to see the House and the Senate can come together with their Republican majorities, even if they're very small. I'm excited to see them actually get it done. I was actually in DC this weekend and speaking with some congressmen while I was there, and they said it's going to be a really nasty fight and it's going to get done. So they're telling me that it's going to happen. I wonder if at the end of the day, are we still far enough away from the midterm elections where we can have these nasty fights? Republicans can call each other out. They figure out what they need to do to get it across the finish line. And it doesn't, if they get the tax cuts and they make them permanent, does what takes place right now have a big bearing on what happens in the midterm election if they're able to accomplish it at the end of the day before the 4th of July?
Well, you say 4th of July. I really think this ought to be done by Memorial Day. I mean, these people, if they need to spend the rest of May getting this wrapped up before summer begins, fine. But 4th of July is late. I mean, this thing ought to be wrapped up, and they ought to be able to sit down and focus on this, get this done next month. And it has to be retroactive to the first of the year, not delayed with these things kicking in next year. You want to have the economy up and running and strong, so that when the midterms roll along, the people say, great, Trumponomics is working great. This is terrific. I'm making more money. I got a raise. I got a promotion. I'm paying my bills. I'm happy. And I'm thrilled with what Trump has accomplished. And then the GOP will, I think, prevail at the midterms. If they don't, and the economy's weak, and I think we already saw that we're now in a negative quarter. This quarter's retracted 0.3%, in part because of all the question marks about tariffs and the other uncertainty. And the economy is not up and running. The GOP is going to do poorly in the midterms. What that means is House Speaker Hakeem Jeffries. It means impeachment 3, impeachment 4, impeachment 5, and Trump's entire agenda will shut down because the Democrats hate his guts and won't agree to pass National Peach Month if that's something he wants to have done. So these people need to move very quickly, and the sooner they can get the regulations and the deregulation and the tax cuts and the energy dominance, et cetera, underway, the more likely that this economy will be robust and charging ahead, and as a consequence, boost the chances for the GOP to hang on to the House and hang on to the Senate.
Deroy Murdock speaking with us right now. The president has said in regards to his 100 days that he really feels like everything they said they were going to do, they've either done or they've started doing. I would imagine that there's a lot of this stuff that by the end of a full year in office that we'll know pretty much if he's going to be successful on the majority of the things that he has started right now. We'll have a better idea of what way it's going. There's still a lot of time left on the clock for Donald Trump. Do you have can you think yet on the other side of the tax cuts, on the other side of the tariff thing shaking out, hopefully the way the president sees it, on the other side of the border being secure and the deportations taking place? Is there anything on the other side of that yet in your brain for you?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, well, let's assume he gets his agenda through regarding all the stuff he's working on now. There's going to be a lot to do. Healthcare is one. We still have not repealed or replaced Obamacare. I mean, I think when he came in, he slowed it down and shrank Obamacare about as much as he could. But we still have not implemented a Republican free market, limited government-oriented healthcare policy. So I'd certainly work on that. We need a lot of work in an enormous amount of work done in education. I just saw the other day a group called WirePoints, I think, which is a think tank in Chicago, right next to where you are. They determined that I think it's now 80 different schools in Illinois where there are no students who are proficient in math. I think it is. I believe it's math, not English. Maybe it's both. But 80, I think they're high schools, if I'm not mistaken, throughout the state of Illinois. So it's not just Chicago. And then you've got J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, running around, screaming and yelling and holding himself up as some kind of a role model to people, which he's not. And so I think education, school choice, maintaining high standards and striving for academic excellence in schools, that's something that ought to be happening from kindergarten all the way through graduate school. So you can put a lot of effort into that. And just generally speaking, the idea of innovation and creativity and having an economy that is able to come up with new products and new services and so on, and providing whatever we need beyond economics, beyond tax cuts, to make it possible for entrepreneurs and innovators to succeed in this society, whether it's either more deregulation or more access to scientific research or whatever it might be. Those are three areas I'd look at beyond what's sort of being debated on Capitol Hill right now.
Yeah. There's so much work that can be done still. And I think that it's exciting to know that maybe we'll be in a position to see some of that take place, but some really key important steps for, like you said, Congress to get on board with and get done, and for the president to continue pushing through his executive office. Deroy, we're always grateful to have you here on the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for the time today.
It's great to be with you again, Annie. Thanks very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Deroy Murdock, a Project 21 ambassador, a nationally syndicated columnist, and a Fox News contributor with us each Wednesday. Let's take a quick break. Go vote in the Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll. Grade the first 100 days of the Trump administration. We want to know how you feel about how the president is doing. And if you're interested, should we take some phone calls on this? What do you say? You want to call in and give the president and the administration a grade? I'm going to give you the phone number here right now. You can stick it in your phone. And if you're not going to call today, put it in your phone and save it for the next time we open the phones. 100 days in, how do you feel about Donald Trump's administration and its successes and failures? 314-241-9797. 314-241-9797. One more time, 314-241-9797. Your calls next.
Let it be. You're listening to the Annie Fry Show. Let it be. Let it be. Talk lines are open now at 314-241-9797 or 866-455-9797.
The Retirement Advisory Group is inviting you to the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's taking place Tuesday, May 20th at the Frontenac Hilton in St. Louis. I'll be there. I hope you will as well. Visit the Frontenac Hilton on Tuesday, May 20th, and learn what you need to know to transition into retirement. If you'd like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market, then you need to be at this event. You also might want to know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from future losses. Reach out to the Retirement Advisory Group and make sure you get your name on the list to be included in the room so that you can participate in this event that's Tuesday, May 20th at the Frontenac Hilton. 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494, and you can visit them online as well to learn more about this event. It's called the Retirement Advisory Group. Mark Cox, myself, Mark Reardon, and I will all be there on Tuesday, May 20th. The event starts at 6:30. I get there at 6. I would love to see you. RetirementKey.com.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
One of the things with running is I want to enjoy the run, but I never made it very far because the arches on my feet just killed me. So when I got to the end of my rope and I said, I have to do something to get rid of the pain, and a couple people recommended the Good Feet store to me. I loved how I could go in and get a free personalized arch support fitting. They put that time, that work, that effort into helping you find the right arch supports. And you can walk around the store with these in your shoes and try them out before you purchase them. So after I got my arch supports, the arches on my feet stopped hurting and the pain literally instantly went away. So if you have pain, go. Find a Good Feet store and go. There is an answer. Find the simple solution that will get rid of your pain. I'm Rondi, and that's my Good Feet story.
See how Good Feet arch supports work for you before you buy with a free fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house, and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home, the brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years, Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO, easy to remember phone number, or go online today at 877-25-RHINO.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Talk lines are open now at 314-241-9797 or 866-455-9797.
I was growing up, nothing made sense. Buzzing all night like neon in the dawn. I found myself in this, couldn't wait to turn 21. Day I did, I got too drunk, spinning around dizzy on the patio. Found out real quick how to take it slow. Got whiskey man on whiskey siren, ran my mouth to an out of town.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. It's good to be back in the studio here with Brad and Ryan and Ethan. Thank you guys for everything that you did back here to help make this trip to Washington, D.C. that I took possible. We'll talk about it in the 2 o'clock hour. You guys can ask me. You guys were asking me a ton of questions before the show started. Like, ask me on the air. And we'll talk about that with you as well at 2 o'clock. We said the YouTube live chat poll for today is to grade the first 100 days of the Trump administration. A, B/C, D, or F. You got to call us and tell us what you think. You can also join us on the Annie Fry YouTube channel because we're broadcasting live there as we do each day. And you can vote on the poll, which is in the live chat portion of today's live broadcast. And if you subscribe, you got to wait 5 minutes and then you can start commenting and you can leave us a thought there. And Ryan, why don't you highlight some of those in between calls here, and we'll get people from on air and online. So let's get to the phone calls here. If you want to join us, we got an open line for you, 314-241-9797. Let's start with Richard. Richard, thank you for calling the Annie Fry Show. Your thoughts on the grade for the first 100 days?
A++. He's been doing a great job. He's doing what he said he was going to do. I know that getting all the illegals out in one day wasn't going to happen. It's going to have to be a process. He's doing the right thing. He's starting with the worst ones, starting at the top, I guess, with the worst ones and just going to work down. And I can't thank him enough. He's an amazing man. I hope I have the energy at 78 that he does.
Yeah, that's for sure. Thank you, Richard, for the phone call. It is crazy that he is 78 years old.
It is crazy.
I wonder if he feels 100 days into his presidency 78. Like maybe before he was doing the presidential grind. Like in between. Oh boy,
it's getting
because
back
he was 74 when he left last time. I wonder if 78 feels a little more 78 than 74 did when he left.
The USA is back, baby. That's not me. That's JR. We said we were going to read your comments. That's someone had to bring the USA back. That's a comment from JR. You can leave your comment by typing in Annie Fry on YouTube, and we'll be looking at those as we go.
Let's get to Doug. Doug, thanks for calling the Annie Fry Show. Your grade on the president's first 100 days.
I'd have to say a solid B.
Solid B. Okay. Why do you give him a passing grade? We'll start there.
Because he did a great job. He's done a great job. Absolutely fantastic. But in my opinion, if he's riding a bike, he's sticking a stick through his own spokes with all of his crazy tweets and trolling. He just needs to do the job of a president. He doesn't need to do all this trolling stuff. And his approval rating would be 20% higher if he just gave his tweeting duties to someone else.
Doug, let me ask you this question. Let's say from here on out, President Trump lets somebody handle his truth account, which ends up getting reposted to X. And everything was A+ presidential, very, very professional and clean and classy, you think that his numbers would go up?
Yeah, basically he's, I say, give the opposition nothing. Give them no oxygen. Let them fight against his policies, not his crazy.
Do you, Doug, do you really think that they would be like, oh, he's talking policy now, we will too? I mean, the thing about it, and I've come around to this because I don't really love the way he says some things either, but nothing that he does is going to change the way his opposition acts, in my opinion.
It's never, his opposition has never been greater.
You think so? All right. Well, I appreciate that. B from Doug. Appreciate your phone call. Thanks for reaching out to us. What do you think about that?
I think that he's probably talking about those middle voters who probably lean right a little bit, but they don't love the rhetoric. At this point, though, that's so baked into the cake that if you would have voted for him in 2024, you knew that was already there. So I don't think people are going, oh, gosh, I voted for the policies, but I can't believe he's saying these things.
I think everybody has had the opportunity last November to decide how much they care about that.
Exactly.
And honestly, here's what I'm going to say. And this is maybe something I haven't said before. They made him this way. They put him in a position where he's kind of a bit dog and that he's going to fight back. Because that's the way that they have treated him is so grossly, un-Americanly unfair that I'm kind of to the point where I'm like, this is what you get.
This might be controversial too, but compared to the first term, I feel like he's been really tame.
Oh gosh. I mean, maybe, yeah. You got another quote from somebody, comment online?
Just because we went with the B here, Chris also says B. He says a hard one, but I said B. He's accomplished more than any other president, but I was hoping for more about inside trading, Epstein, exposed corruption, Biden cover up, etc.
All right, let's get to, let me see who's next here. Tom, thanks for calling the Annie Fry Show. Grade the president's first 100 days. What do you think?
First 100 days, I'd have to give him an A. I'm just loving everything that he's accomplished so far. The border, I knew he'd close that down in no time.
Almost in literally no time. You're right about that, Tom.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I think he's pretty much more chilled than what he was when he first, came out. And he just kind of shocked people, and it's just taken a while. And I don't watch, I'm not on X, so I'm not getting that what this other gentleman is. But I really like how he seems more chilled to me, and he's just working hard. Yeah. And he's got the right people. Oh, my God. Some of these people are incredible. I mean.
Yeah, he picked the staff this time that was the right staff to get the message out. Tom, thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. I think this is the other reason I push back hard on the but the mean tweets thing. Most of the tweets are just pretty funny. They're not. I mean, I understand why some people might read them as mean, but these people have zero sense of humor.
The rhetoric this time, it seems a little bit more deliberately poking the bear, because last time it was, you remember Kofi and Horseface and all that stuff from the first term. This one, it's not as personal. Okay. Well, this
I
one,
had to think about. I was like, what was that?
It's more, hey, could I run for a third term?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Wink, wink.
And you're like, well,
let's get to Dan here. Dan, thanks for calling the Annie Fry Show. Maybe roll your window up or take us off speakerphone, but good to have you here. What do you think about the president's first 100 days?
Hey, yeah, absolutely. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, you're good. Thanks, Dan.
Okay. Hey, so yeah, I'm going to give him a C-. I'm a Trump supporter, voted for him twice. Or 3 times, I guess, really. So at the bottom line is I'm a 27-year military vet. I'm also a civil servant. I think what he's done the last 100 days has been he created so much work for us. I know you guys don't hear this kind of stuff in the news. We are just flapping around trying to figure out what's going on. We're hardly able to do the mission. And it's been rough to say.
Can you be more specific about what you're talking about? What mission? What kind of work?
So I don't necessarily want to get into that.
I guess we'll just have to take your word for it.
Well, I think the bottom line is with the Doge thing, it is what it is. I get it. We all have to cut, and cutting 10%, whatever, isn't the end of the world from the DOD. I think it's the way they went about doing it. It could have been done much, much softer. Hell, he didn't have to do a whole lot to make his first 100 days way better than the last 100 days of Biden. He could have just sat back and done nothing. But I think had he just concentrated on immigration, had he concentrated on some other things that weren't just those slashing, the Doge thing, that's fine. You can do what you need to do. Cutting USAID completely, I thought was a little crazy because they do a lot of good things. I just think there's a lot of stuff going on that's really, really tough to deal with. And especially, and coming from the military, he's made some good changes there. I'm not going to say anything too bad about that. I think there's some issues there.
From all of us here, thank you for your service. We appreciate you, what you've done in the sacrifice. We always appreciate that and want to make sure that we communicate that to you as well. Thanks for calling today.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. I bet you that for a lot of federal workers out there, when he says that it's been chaos, I bet that is an experience that is shared by many people in the federal government, that it has just been like, what is going on?
Yeah, because it's the most consistent job in the world up until the last 100 days.
I mean, definitely what Donald Trump has done has been disruptive.
Absolutely. That's why he was elected, though.
Sometimes you got to shake everything apart to see what needs to stay. Is there a better way to do it? Probably not with the political calendar.
Right.
You got to go in, you got to go hard, you got to get everything done that you need to get done before people are like, oh, but the election's coming up, which there are people already starting to talk about that. Let's get to Pat here. Pat, thanks for calling the Annie Fry Show. What do you think about the president's 100 days?
I would give him an A- overall. He gets an A++ on the border and immigration issues. His downfall has been his typical saying too much in regards to Canada and the 51st state. It's just non-productive. And that gave his detractors just that much more ammunition.
Thanks for the call, Pat. An A- overall. I like what Pat's saying there. It's kind of similar to what Deroy said. I think that maybe tomorrow's poll should be, has Donald Trump mishandled Canada?
That's a good question.
I would like to know what people think. And I'd like to know what I think about that. I'd have to actually spend some time with that thought.
You have 24 hours.
Remind me. Real quick, Scott, thanks for calling the Annie Fry Show. Grade President Trump's first 100 days.
Hey, this is Scott Hardman. How are you today?
Scott!
Hi!
Dr. Hardman, who's worked on
How are you?
all, like my husband, you guys.
Yeah, I just saw
well.
Dr. Scott Hardman. Hello.
Well, your opinion on this is very valuable to us. How do you feel about the president's first 100 days?
So I guess I would just maybe segment that, just a quick comment on the healthcare stuff. I just picked up on your last guest that was on and comment about some trend for the future of healthcare. I think he's made some good decisions in the healthcare arena, not the least of which is Marty McCary. I think the questions we have as practicing physicians is if the Republicans are going to run from healthcare or embrace it and listen to some of the physicians and the doctors caucus that are there. After his last presidency, or at the tail end of that, there was a groundswell, a grassroots effort of working with physicians that are out practicing, not just in the large academic centers or corporate practice, but those of us seeing patients every day, trying to get them to not run away from healthcare, but to listen to us. There's this constant sort of drumbeat of repeal Obamacare and replace it with something else. There's some decent provisions in legislation like that, and things like no pre-existing conditions and keeping your kids on your insurance. I don't really know that the economics of that would really move the needle one way or the other. But I'll tell you, as physicians, just when I talk to my colleagues, we're getting some mixed messages out there. In one breath, we hear that Medicare Advantage programs are fraught with corruption, and then next thing they turn around and give big pay increases to those, which is just moving taxpayer dollars in the private insurance sector. The other one is in the arena of drug pricing. So there's been some lukewarm movement there. A lot of activity, at his last presidency, to try and take on the PBMs, the pharmacy benefit managers out there, to try and identify why drug costs and availability are just so sketchy in this country right now. And they're just not doing a whole lot with that right now. So I'm hopeful that, obviously he's had a big 100 days here and he's got a lot on his plate, but I'm hopeful that healthcare is not something that gets pushed aside, and that they, listen to physicians going forward. They have a number of great physicians in Congress right now that have been practicing physicians, and they have resources to reach out to those of us in the communities as well. And there's some good things that could be done to try and make healthcare way more affordable and way more cost effective, including drug pricing.
We're speaking with Dr. Hardman, who has been on the show many, many times before. I'm so glad you called in to talk about how you feel the Trump administration is doing so far. When in the beginning of this hour, we were speaking with Deroy Murdock, and I said, Donald Trump said, I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, he was asked, how do you feel about how much progress you're making? And he said, everything that we said we were going to do, we've either started and we're working on it actively, or we've already done it. And I asked Deroy, on the other side of that, if in a year we've accomplished, or at least we know what worked and what didn't, and we can move on from that, what do you want to see on the other side? And he said healthcare. He said that he wants to see Republicans, just like what you're saying right now, take a bite out of this. Do you think that there's the possibility? Do we have to break apart the whole insurance healthcare system in order to put something back in place that works?
No, I don't think so. I think there's definitely places they get hung up about just in the the sound bites out there. If we're going to cut Medicare, we're going to cut Medicaid, we're going to defund this, we're going to move the money from one segment to the other. I think one thing that needs to be identified is just the stark reality of the fact that the independent physician, which you probably know, I trumpet that all the time.
Yeah.
We try to deliver a high quality product at a more cost effective point than what is done in the large corporate practice of medicine. And to a large degree, corporate practice of medicine is not really legal in some respects. And so I think you don't need to dismantle everything to identify and incentivize physicians to come out of medical school and residency and go into practice, hang up a shingle, and take good care of patients, especially in the rural communities. That economically needs to be done in such a way that their reimbursements are handed to them in a way that makes their practices financially stable. And Medicare, they just sort of reposition money every year. There's another 2.8% Medicare cut that came to physician practices. Now, hospital employed physicians and or corporate physicians have seen cost of living increases every year, but the independent physician is getting reimbursed on levels of early 1990s, 1993, I think. And so those cuts start to hurt, especially now as cost of goods are up. It costs us a lot of money to buy insurance for our employees, and employees want raises, and everything goes up. But you reach that point where you compromise quality of care if you try and see too many people, move too many people to the system like that. And so I think they don't need to break the whole system apart. They need to decide where it's important to spend the money and identify what will deliver high quality care at a lower cost point, and give people access to their physicians. Giving someone a card that they have an insurance card, but there's no physicians, like Medicaid, for instance. I mean, you get a card that has potential providers on there or doctors on there, but you have so a little access to them. And so it doesn't do you any good to have those funds to reimburse for. You've got to have more physicians taking these different plans of insurance. And that just boils down to simple economics.
Well, it's definitely something that I think a lot of people perk up to when they hear about it, because I probably a very bipartisan agreement that we need to do something better with healthcare. And we know, Dr. Hardman, that you have a ton of experience in that realm. So thank you for calling. Always good to hear your voice.
Appreciate it. It's great to talk to y'all. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Dr. Scott Hardman.
Can we have Stewart's American Mortgage and Grasser Electric send Dr. Hardman to DC?
Hey, now, yeah, that's fine.
That'd be great.
I'm back. That's a really interesting thing. It's an interesting thing to think about, the other side of the completion of the things that are in motion right now. We should talk about that when we come back, because 100 days. He's got 3 years and 265 days left. Let's talk about that when we come back. You can go to the Annie Fry YouTube channel and vote, and of course, leave a comment. If you subscribe to the channel, you can tell us what you think. You got another one you want to take us out here with? Another comment from one of the listener commenters on our Annie Fry YouTube channel?
This is Jack B. He says, I'm an A+++. He has come in and thrown so many balls in the air to juggle that Dems can't focus. Probably good for the chiropractic industry.
Thanks, Jack. We'll take a quick break and get to more of your comments next.
This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
So bad, but I had to stand my ground, chase my pride with another round. I found myself in this ball.
Michael's Flooring Outlet. Please consider shopping at Michael's Flooring Outlet for your next flooring purchase, big or small. Maybe you're just redoing one room. Maybe you are finishing that basement and the flooring. Once that goes in, everything else starts to follow, right? If you are in the market for flooring, residentially or commercially, Michael's Flooring Outlet will guide you through the process so that you understand that affordability and quality can go together at the same time in the same purchase. Michael's will guide you through all the different products that might meet the aesthetic expectation that you have. You want that fresh hardwood look. How many products are out there with great technology that let you live your life with your family, with the kids, with the grandkids, the pets, the dirt, the water, the spills, and everything? The flooring has to be able to stand up to that, and Michael's can help guide you to the right kind of flooring for you. Either one or all three of their locations here in St. Louis are open for you to come visit. You can find the details, the reviews, the ability to request an estimate. It's all online on their website. Michael's Flooring Outlet online at igotfloor.com.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholt of Kaufman Townsley. We've won the trust of thousands of clients who are victims of careless drivers. We have the team, the talent, and the tenacity to get you the money you deserve. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
This could be the number 1 tax saving strategy for your retirement savings, and it's hidden inside IRS tax code section 1.408A-4. Discover what it is and how you can make your money go further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by advisors from financial and tax architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis, and you'll learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing Social Security, paying for health care, and more. And they do it for free, but bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are a few openings left for classes this month, so register now by calling 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012. That's 314-947-2012.
It's Mark Reardon from my friends at ZeroRez, and I want you to beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling my cleaning heroes at ZeroRez. They were just in my home recently. The carpets are nice and clean. You can feel the difference in the home, and you too can step into a fresher, cleaner home this spring with ZeroRez. Let's face it, spring is time for a renewal. Let ZeroRez help you refresh your home with clean carpets, fresh floors, and improved air quality. Let's do the air ducts, right? Because your air ducts are like the lungs of your home. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. So here's the deal for the month of April with ZeroRez when you mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk. 3 rooms starting at $119. You can take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Right now, call ZeroRez. Book it today, 314-474-2020. Ask for the 97.1 FM Talk special or mention my name. 3 rooms starting at $119, $75 off the air duct cleaning package. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. ZeroRez.
Grade the first 100 days of the Trump administration. We give you 4 options. A, B/C is one option. D or F. Let us know what you think. We were talking about this in the last segment. We'd still like to hear from you and why you gave the grade that you gave. YouTube live chat poll. You find the Annie Fry Show by typing in Annie Fry on YouTube, and that's where you can vote and leave a comment. 148. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
A look at Trump's first 100 days continues tonight with a News Nation town hall featuring President Trump with Chris Cuomo, Bill O'Reilly, and Stephen A. Smith. Tariffs, immigration, and the courts. It's live tonight at 7 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Some say don't give up and hope that your good is good enough. Head down, keep on working.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
You deserve it. Some say push on through. After all, it's the least that you can do. But don't buy what they're selling. Couldn't be further from the truth. What if I were the one to tell you that the fight's already been won? Well, I think your day's about to get better. What if I were the one to tell you that the work's already been done? My good news is the best news ever. Some say don't ask for help. God helps the ones who help themselves. So press on, get it right. Otherwise, get left behind. Some say he's keeping score. So try hard, then try a little more. But hold up, if this were true, explain to me what the cross is for. What if I would want to tell you that the fight's
Well, back to the Annie Fry Show. So we have the poll up grading the president's first 100 days. And I think it's an interesting thought to exercise to think about what are the promises that he made during the campaign? What are the big ones? The border, tariffs. It's a beautiful word.
Yeah.
Which was a golden age in America, which is what he said multiple times. What other things did he promise?
Oh, gosh. That's a good question, because I would go right to border, because that's the big one that he was running on over and over and over. But he did campaign on some international issues too.
DEI.
Ending the war. Yeah. DEI. Ending the war in Ukraine. Ending the war in Israel / Palestine.
I would say on Israel, but
you go back to like his Make America rich again, make America safe again.
I mean, Maha was a big
America
one.
Healthy again. So anything that would fall under those categories, safe again, rich again. He campaigned on tariffs for sure. But he also campaigned on getting the economy back going in the right direction, lowering the price of groceries.
Doge
was a big one. Yeah, he did talk about that.
Is there anything that, if for Doge, for instance, has that been a success?
Yeah, it's been a success. I think everybody was expecting it to go way faster. Everybody was expecting it. The minute you get in there, you go, oh my gosh, we could just cut this and save $1 trillion. And it's like, no, you can't do that. So there were people saying you should be moving faster, and others saying, well, you should be doing it more with a scalpel. And in fact, I think this is what the scalpel looks like, because you could just come in with a blunt object and just smash. But that's not what they're doing. They are cutting thing by thing by thing, line by line by line.
Also, if you're too careful, you're going to miss opportunities to cut. So with the one caller that we had that said he gave him a C-, he's a federal worker. He's a military. I don't know if he said veteran, I guess he was active. He said it's been very chaotic. And I think that has a lot to do with cuts. Like, you cut something, and if you cut a little bit too much, you go, oh, we need to put that back. I think I hear the criticism that people thought it would be bigger than it is, but I don't know if he's fully been able to dive into every department. He's, he basically said he was going to set up the apparatus to do the work, and that it would be an ongoing thing, and that he's going to be involved in an ongoing fashion, but just not that the key part is setting up the system to seek out the waste, fraud, and abuse. So I feel like we'll have these things pop up regularly about they're spending here, they're spending there. Rand Paul puts out a list every December 23rd or something like that. His airing of grievances on what of what the government is spending money on. What's on the other side of this, though? If he delivers the border, and if he continues to deliver on the deportations, I believe he will. If, you've said this before, Ryan, and it's exactly right. If they get the tax cuts made permanent in December, it's technically in time. All you've really done is waste political calendar and political time to do other things. Get it done. The reason to get it done is so that you can move on to do other things. Like, this is an obvious thing that you have to do. Go do it. You get the tax cuts in. He gets the trade deals worked out, in large part. And I would imagine there's a snowball effect that's going to happen with those. The Doge cuts are made permanent. What's on the other side of those big key issues that we haven't really talked about yet? I think healthcare is a big one.
Healthcare is a big one. I don't know exactly how they tackle healthcare. I mean, that's such a big topic, and we're not really. It's not part of the national conversation right now. I think it should be. I'm glad Dr. Hardman called in. because that should be a part of the conversation. But one big thing that I know we're all watching for it. We're all going, time's a ticking, but that really could become the story. If we get tariffs figured out, great. That could happen within a couple of weeks. We could have deals like crazy there. Tariff situation isn't going to permanently go back to where it was, but he could have that figured out. So a lot of this stuff, Doe is just going to continue. Okay. On the other side of it, like you said, though, there could be a year from now, we could be talking about arrests. We could be talking about major crimes that.
So you're talking about like justice reform and prosecutions.
We're talking about DOJ. We're talking about FBI. We're talking about DNI.
My big issue that I'd like to see in full force is school choice. The transformation of the public education system. School choice does not mean that public education goes away. It just means that public schools have to be attractive enough that people choose them. And if you're saying that they won't be attractive enough that people will choose them, so we force kids to go to them, make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. To see the president start the ball rolling on, the dismantling of the Department of Education, which I think is the right move if it continues in a transformative way towards how we do education, that the number one way to do that is to do school choice. I want people to be able to take the value of their tax dollars and invest it in their own kids, where the government shouldn't get to look at my tax dollars and say, you only get to benefit with your children from your tax dollars if you use them in this place. When I don't send my 4 kids to the public school, there are 4 desks that are now open. A classroom is 1 student smaller. The teacher to student ratio is 1 student better for the rest of the kids in there, not using the resources, not using the facilities. Give me the right to use my property tax dollars that go to education for my kids while my kids are in school. And then after that, contribute to the public education. Give us your thoughts on our comments in the YouTube channel. We'll be right back.
If you heard with these energy mandates, luckily this year they stopped the continuation of this government mandates, but the new refrigerants did not stop, so that is out. So be careful, buyer beware on what you're purchasing. If you're looking for a new system and just want a common sense approach to picking a system, i.e., are you going to save money? Is your energy bills going down? All the stuff that we've been hearing for about the last 25 years. Bottom line is, when it comes to the efficiencies, it's going to be your house. I only have 60 seconds to do this in, so if you want a common sense approach and you are looking at purchasing a system or getting prices on systems, please call me. It's one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. It's 314-293-2600. 314-293-2600, or on the internet is bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Hey, it's Mark Cox. Now is a great time to be a home seller in the St. Louis market. Home values are up an average of 2.2% year over year, which means you can take advantage of high prices in a low inventory market. But you should act fast. Start by talking to St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. While the average realtor sells 4 to 5 homes a year, Gloria has sold nearly 400 homes in the last 2. Plus, Gloria sells faster and for more money. Gloria is so confident she'll guarantee to sell your home at a price acceptable to you, or Gloria will buy it. It may seem like a good idea to use that discount realtor or that friend who sells a few homes a year. It could literally cost you thousands of dollars. Worse, your home may not even sell. My advice, call Gloria Liu today at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
So it's time to go grocery shopping, which is a time that a lot of us dread because it costs so dang much. Well, if you shop at Ruler Foods, it's going to cost less. That's really the draw here. Quality products, the same products you're buying everywhere else for less. It's really that simple. I don't even know if there's really much else to say other than if you want to save money, if you don't want to spend more than you have to, you got to find
your Ruler Foods. You can save on a bunch of extra items that have like extra promotional savings. You can go to rulerfoods.com and learn about what those are, like red seedless grapes, only $1.89 a pound. They're perfect for snacks and lunch boxes. We go through a ton of them in the Fry House. If you're firing up the grill, grab that 73% lean ground beef and money-saving 3-pound rolls at just $3.49 a pound. You can also have those savings delivered directly to your door. Everything you need to know about what's on sale, how to do delivery, and to find your Ruler Foods is online on the Ruler Foods website. You can go to rulerfoods.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A boom is coming. Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's still President Trump's prediction as he blames his predecessor for disappointing news on the economy.
The U.S. economy slowed in the first quarter of 2025. The GDP shrinking by 0.3 of a point, the Commerce Department says, the worst quarterly performance since 2022.
And I have to start off by saying that's Biden. That's not Trump.
The president says his tariff policy is attracting new businesses in the U.S. and that will grow the economy.
So it takes a little while to get those facilities built, but they're coming in with big numbers. They're all coming in with big numbers.
Imports, which count against the GDP calculation, surged last quarter, driven in large part by a pre-order of shipments before tariffs kick in.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House.
The Trump administration has been a disaster.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
100 days in, Donald Trump and Elon Musk have failed to make your life more affordable.
This as Republicans continue work on what the president calls the big, beautiful bill to advance his agenda, including an extension of the 2017 tax cuts.
The biggest tax cut in the history of our country. And it would be the biggest tax increase if the Democrats are successful.
Democrats opposing the framework warn that the level of spending cuts proposed will mean cuts to Medicaid, which the president denies. The U.S. Supreme Court hears arguments on taxpayer funding for a religious charter school.
The Constitution promises educators of all faiths the right to take part in programs that support privately operated schools.
Michael McGinley is the attorney for a Catholic virtual school in Oklahoma, where the state Supreme Court sided with opponents who argue public funding will violate the constitutional separation of church and state. America is listening to Fox News.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
What we see is what we get. Unsettled skies through Thursday night. Mostly cloudy this afternoon. Periods of showers. Couple of thunderstorms possible. 75. Tonight, showers, spot storms here and there. 63. Thursday, showers, spot storms. 76. That's the same story Thursday night. Friday, partly to mostly sunny and 69. A little cooler. Weekend looks great. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Well, April wraps up today, and if you were looking to save on in-stock diamond jewelry at the Diamond Shop, today is the day you have to get over there because they are 40% off. Anything that is in-stock diamond jewelry, 40% off. And you'll be very glad when you walk in there and meet Tom and Nikki and Mona and the team at the Diamond Shop. They're going to guide you through your purchase and make sure that you're comfortable.
I think that's a key important thing. They also have 30% off all in-stock jewelry throughout the course of the month. Make sure that you go sign up online. Now, you might visit the website at thediamondshop.net to learn a little bit about their store, possibly in Clayton. You can go check them out and walk in and see everything, of course, there. But if you're perusing thediamondshop.net before you go into the store to peruse all of the beautiful sparkly things in the cases within that gorgeous store, you'll be able to see a lot of what they do. And it's more than just jewelry that they can sell you. They do custom jewelry. They have jewelry and watch repair. They do appraisals. They also buy gold. They also carry 6 months, same as cash, special financing. You become a VIP online, get a little extra access to discounts along the way. It's all there online at thediamondshop.net.
Since we have lawyers in all 50 states, I see and hear lots of lawyer ads. It seems that most are bragging on what they got their clients. But be careful. If you heard that someone sold their car for $500,000, you would be impressed. But if you later learned that it was a rare $10 million Ferrari, would you say that person got screwed? And that's before you even know if it's true. Who is fact checking? And how much went to medical bills and lawyers' fees? If you want to get an idea what your case may be really worth, visit forthepeople.com and go to settlements and verdicts. You will see what a law firm like ours is capable of. And fact check for yourself. All that glitters is not gold. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. We won big, a lot. At Morgan & Morgan, we represent consumers. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
I'm Danny Cohn, President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. This past week, the Jewish holiday of Yom HaShoah commemorated the 80th anniversary of the Holocaust and remembered the 6 million Jews who were murdered by the Nazis in World War II. As Jews, when we recall the atrocities of the Holocaust, we say, never again. This is not a slogan or a tagline. It's a responsibility we all share to prevent the systematic hatred from going unchecked. When we work together to fight against prejudice and bigotry towards everyone, we create a better community for everyone.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Well, according to Fox News, Trump is going to speak soon from the White House. And Ryan, you told me I shouldn't say this all the time, but I'll be able to say I was just there.
Oh, no, I think that you should say that over and over and over again.
No, I won't.
Like, oh, the White House?
It is
that
weird.
old place?
It is. Yeah, exactly. It is weird to be on this side of it and to see and understand so much of the background, like the literal background of how everything functions there from a press standpoint, and how close the press is set up so that people in the administration can just access the press whenever they, like Stephen Miller.
He just walks out,
He
right?
just walks out and he's like, let's go. Which is great.
Is he, when we see him standing, because he does a lot of interviews standing like in a road somewhere, is that in the press tent area there? Is that where he's going?
So have you ever been to the White House?
No.
Oh, man, we got to take a trip.
Okay.
Steve's like, no. Steve, that's Steve, our boss, not Steve Miller. We didn't have, there wasn't a situation.
No,
he might be that way after the trip.
I don't know. So if you've ever been to the White House, there's Lafayette Square, and then there's these big, huge, tall black fences. I don't know. Are they like 20 feet tall or something like that? They're massive. And you can walk up there and take pictures with the White House and everything. And it's secure, but you can see through the lawn to the White House, of course. So along on the right side, if you were looking at the White House, on the right side, there's a door to go in, a huge, heavy door. And you go in there and that's like blocked off with more security. And then you've got to like present your ID. Secret Service runs your ID to make sure you're on whatever list, gives you a press pass if you don't have one, which I didn't. And like a physical press pass. And then for me, because I'm not a credentialed part of the press, like Fox News doesn't have credentials to give me. We didn't ask for them. I'm not an employee of Fox News. I could probably get credentials maybe from Odyssey, but I didn't have those. And so a lot of people who go in there on a regular don't have those specifically. You have to wait for an escort to come from inside the White House from the press team to come acknowledge you're good. So then after you get acknowledged, then you go through actual security, which is, you get wanded or whatever, put all your bags through security devices. And then as soon as you're on the other side of that is where all of the networks have tents set up so that they're shot from all of their equipment. It's crazy. They're just in these green tents. And I mean, the tent is probably 8 feet wide, maybe 10 feet wide tops.
It's like a bedroom.
Just little, yeah. And so all of the equipment is in there, and then the reporter will stand kind of at the front of it with the beautiful White House in the background. We've all seen those shots, and then they just do their stand-up shots from there. And then the reporters will go from there over to the press briefing room if that's the same person, and it usually is. That like Peter Ducey would be on Fox News in the morning, and then he would go over and sit in the press briefing, or Jackie Heinrich is another one who did it. So as you're leaving that row of, there's probably a dozen tents that are set up right there. It's just along a driveway. And that's where you've seen all of those posters that were stuck in the ground. They're lined up all the way through the driveway, all along the driveway, so that the press has to have these signs in the backyard, basically, background. You make a turn to the left to go to the press briefing room, and at that bend is a microphone that stood up, and then people can walk right out of the West Wing, which is right there, and just walk up to the microphone, and then the press, whoever is around from the press, just surrounds that person and starts shouting questions at them.
So it's not like they're going to something else and they happen to stop here at the press thing. They
certainly
walk out
could be.
to that spot.
I mean, I would presume like the people who are in the West Wing go through a different entrance. The entrance that I'm talking about is the press entrance. You would not have to come and go and pass the press. If you walk out there, it's like you're choosing violence, is what I want to say.
No, that's kind of what I was asking.
You're like, all right, let's go. Something big happens. You want to take questions on it? Go. If there's a controversy or something and you want to get your word out on it, walk out and let someone ask you the question.
No, that's good to know, because then when we see people in that spot with that background,
it's a choice.
They have walked out to give comments to the press. And I do not remember not once in a while, but I do not remember seeing a lot of that from the Biden administration.
Yeah,
certainly
outside.
Not from Joe Biden.
Yeah, if you think about how much you saw the press during Biden's administration, most of it's cringe on Pierre in the press briefing room.
Yeah. And it's binder.
I yesterday spent the morning in the press briefing with Carolyn Leavitt and Secretary Scott Bessent, Secretary of the Treasury, listened to that. And then after that, I knew that the president was leaving to go to Michigan. So I figured there's a portion of that day where it's going to be, he's gone. And I would assume everything kind of settles down at the White House because a lot of the staff was traveling with him. And I knew that meant that there could be some opportunities leading up to about 2:00 that we would be able to potentially, because that's all you do is you just sit there and wait for someone to say, oh, hey, there's a basic schedule that's listed at the beginning of the day. Like, for instance, the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl championship celebration was while I was there, and I got to attend that because I was part of the press. And that was on the schedule because obviously everybody knows it's on the South Lawn. It's a big deal. Everybody needs to know that that's going to happen. But there could be many things that take place in between two scheduled events. So the press just sits and waits for something else to happen. Now, some of them might be doing call-ins to radio shows. Some of them might be doing hits on their television network. Some of them, if they're writers, might be writing articles in the meantime. So it's not like they're sitting doing nothing, but there is a lot of downtime in between things. It's a lot of hurry up and wait. And I had to make a decision. I thought, I could have literally sat there from the time the press briefing got over, which was about 9 a.m. Eastern time, till 2 p.m. and done nothing.
That's what I would have done.
I could have done that. I could have stayed there, and as I was sitting in Congressman Darren LaHood's office, C-SPAN's up there, and President Trump is out there standing at those microphones.
No kidding.
Talking, and I was like, ugh.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was very brief, but he was getting ready to go. He might have actually, now that I think about it, he might have actually been on the South Lawn getting ready to go up on Marine One because it takes off on the South Lawn. But what they would have done is usher the press to the place, said the president's going to come take off. You can stay here. He might stop to take questions. I was there. And I don't regret that decision because I was able to go talk with Senator Eric Schmidt, and you guys aired that interview yesterday.
A lot of positive feedback.
I was going to say, I wasn't here, so I don't know what the vibe was about the conversation, but in being able to have this opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. and make of it, I can't stress enough how I was handed like a single block of wood, and they're like, come home with something. Like they gave me the opportunity to do something with this, and whatever I wanted to turn that block of wood into, I could carve away and I could turn it into something. I was given the access and the freedom to roam about the cabin. And after that, it was like, and if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know where you're going, it's like, what do you do with that? And so for the first half of the first day, I was very eyes wide open, just trying to soak everything in. And I made the decision that the best thing I thought that I could do for the people who were here, specifically you two putting the show together, and for the listeners of the station, was to go talk to people who who are there representing you. So I thought to myself after the briefing, what am I going to do? Should I stay here and cross my fingers and hope? And maybe it materializes into nothing. Maybe I get to see and maybe ask a question to the president. Or I could go over to the Capitol and do what I ended up doing, which was talk to a senator and two congressmen. Two congressmen, one congresswoman. So I elected to do that. I got a lot of content out of it. I wish I could have seen the president. I have zero regrets. I have zero disappointment. And I am so grateful to Stewart's American Mortgage and to Grasser Electric for making this possible for us. Wonderful partnership with them and sponsorship. We're going to take a quick break here because when we come back, we're going to have Congressman Darren LaHood's interview. I sat in his office with him and talked to him, kind of similar to what I did with Eric Schmidt. When I was there, I thought they do the same interview over and over and over and over again. It's easy to ask about the 100 days, and I was going to do that, but I also wanted to make sure that I made it about things that mattered to the people who are listening. So hopefully you felt like that when you listened to the Senator Eric Schmidt interview. When we come back, Congressman Darren LaHood, who's from Central Illinois, is going to be with us, and you'll get to see, and if you join us on the Annie Fry YouTube channel, you get to watch that interview as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about DC after that. What do you say? Go vote in the YouTube live chat poll and tell us your grade on the president's first 100 days. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
I always say go to Andrea's Steakhouse for your next big occasion, birthday, anniversary, graduation, whatever it is. But you could make that happen for somebody else. I actually took my own advice. I went there just yesterday, bought a gift card for a friend of mine who had just been a tremendous help to me recently, and just said, here, I want me and my wife, we want to send you and your wife to Andrea's for a really nice dinner. And I love doing that because the look on somebody's face when they go, oh man, that's really nice, and they're not expecting it is just great. And they know they're going to have a great night and a great meal. If you've never been to Andrea's Steakhouse, now is the time. Go get a bottle of Andrea's steak sauce. Maybe if you're like considering it, if you're like, oh, I've heard Ryan talking about this a lot, I'm going to go try the steak sauce. Get a bottle of that at Deerberg's or at Schnucks or other smaller kind of steak houses and butchers. They always carry it. And try it for yourself at home too. You can do that. We use it on basically everything. I've been making these little burger bites for the kids that I just drown in Andrea's sauce because then they go, oh, I don't even need sauce on it because you made them taste so good. Well, it's basically that the sauce is baked in. So you can try all of those things by visiting Andreas.com. You can see the gift cards there. You can see the menu at the restaurant, or you can get their sauces there, their steak sauce, their barbecue sauce, their salad dressing. Again, That's all at Andreas.com.
You know how you always want to know about everyone else's money? On the podcast, What We Spend, guests will, for 1 week, tell us everything they spend their money on.
My son slammed $6 worth of blueberries in 5 minutes.
And everything that makes them feel.
I want to own a house. I want to have a child. But this morning, I really wanted a coffee.
Because at the end of the day, money is always about more than your balance. Listen to and follow What We Spend, an Odyssey original podcast. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Step outside and fall in love with your backyard again. From inviting porch overhangs to durable composite decks and cozy screen rooms, Lakeside Renovation and Design creates stunning outdoor living spaces designed for relaxation, entertaining, and making memories. With expert craftsmanship and top-quality materials, your new outdoor oasis will be perfect for every season. Call Lakeside Renovation and Design today or visit lakesiderd.com to get started. Let's turn your backyard into the retreat you've always dreamed of.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-926-5959. 800-926-5959. 800-926-5959.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Farming's hard. To feed the world, farmers have to work the land, brave the elements, and fight the battle against weeds. Weeds reduce crop yields, so prices go up and everybody gets less to eat. But 50 years ago, farmers got a new tool to fight weeds, glyphosate. It kills weeds while protecting the harvest. Time and again, it has been approved by the EPA and by leading regulatory bodies around the world. It helps enable practices that reduce erosion and keep soil healthy, which is good for the earth. Farming's hard, but it's a little easier with glyphosate. Learn more at go.bayer.com/glyphosate. Paid for by Bayer.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Time to schedule your air conditioner service. Get your entire HVAC system checked for $19 a month with the preferred partner plan and be ready for the first heat wave. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. So we were live coverage the earlier part of this week from Washington, D.C. I took the time yesterday to go visit with Congressman Darren LaHood. And I had a conversation with him, of course, about the Trump administration. He served in multiple administrations, so he has some experience on how it might differ from president to president. But I also asked him some questions about Illinois, because if you don't realize this yet, Illinois went about +9 Trump in the last election compared to where they were the last time that Trump ran. The difference is that they've districted the state so poorly that +9 Republican vote showing up didn't actually end up affecting the state legislature at all. That's pretty amazing. Let's listen to the conversation that we had with Darren LaHood in Washington, D.C.
Well, we're sitting here talking with Congressman Darren LaHood of Illinois' 16th Congressional District. Thank you for the time today.
Great to be with you, Annie.
So I wanted to give you the opportunity to react to Donald Trump's 100th day. That's today. How do you feel about this administration? You've served in how many administrations?
I started in 2015, so Obama, Trump, Obama, Trump, Biden, and now Trump again.
How do you feel about the second term 100 days in?
Well, I think the president has done an excellent job in the first 100 days, much different than his first 100 days the last time around. And if you go back to the election last November, the president got elected, I think, for two reasons. One, fixing the unmitigated disaster at our southern border. And number two, fixing our economy, which people saw during the Biden administration had high inflation, high costs. There was a lot of uncertainty. And what the president's done since January 20th, I think, has been remarkable on the southern border. Crossings are down 95% on our southern border because he put back in the Remain in Mexico policy, which basically says we work with the Mexican government and their military to stop everybody on the Mexican side. Now, you can apply for asylum or become a green card holder or apply for legal citizenship, but you're going to do it on the Mexican side. So border crossings are down 95%. Secondarily, what he's done to put people that are illegally in this country that have committed violent crimes, sending them back to their country of origin is significant. And so whether it's going back to Venezuela or El Salvador or Mexico or plenty of countries in Central and South America, the president has followed through on his campaign promise to fix the unmitigated disaster at our southern border. He supported our Border Patrol agents on the southern border. And so that has been significant. And I think the American people understand that and support the president wholeheartedly on that. So I think he deserves an A+ on that. Now, I think we have some work to do on the economy. We haven't brought the relief that we need to yet, but that's going to change very quickly.
Some of that work will be yours in Congress.
Absolutely. I serve on the Ways and Means Committee, which has jurisdiction over our tax bill. The tax bill we're going to get to the president's desk here in the next month is going to be significant in terms of bringing relief to working families throughout our district and giving a tax break to small and medium-sized businesses, to our farmers, helping to bring down inflation and also allowing people to have more money in their pocket. Remember, the first Trump administration, we had the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, created the best economy in my lifetime.
Yeah. So we've got the border, we've got the economy. Those are the two things that the president has highlighted through his press secretary this week as they're acknowledging the 100th day. My question is, I talk a lot on my show about families. I've got kids of my own, and a lot of people who are listening, the stuff that takes place on Main Street is a little more familiar than a lot of the of course, big transformative ideas that the president is bringing to the table to reform our economy. I want to ask you, do you feel like, are you hopeful now in a way that you haven't been in the past? Or has that changed at all with Trump second term? Do you see the hope for the American dream alive?
I do. And I think there was so much angst going into the election last year. And what I love about the election is our democracy showed that if you want to change the direction of the country, you can. And I think that renewed people's faith in our system. Because as I talked to people throughout my district, I think there was, lots of concern that they were going to steal the election. It wasn't going to go the right way. But President Trump won. Not only did he win, Annie, as you know, he won overwhelmingly. All 7 swing states, won the popular vote, got record numbers of African-American males and Hispanic males. And it showed that our democracy held. But if you want to change the direction of this country, you can. So I think that's given people a lot of hope and optimism. Now, the tough part is governing. And President Trump's doing everything he can, going up against, mainstream media and people, Democrats and others. But again, he's delivering on those promises. And I think people definitely have that hope and optimism. What he's done on cancel culture, what he's done on wokeism, what he's done on DEI, again, fulfilling those campaign promises, taking on our adversaries, particularly what he's done on China and ramping up what needs to be done to win the strategic competition against China. I mean, I think all those things are apparent to families in my district. People have hope. Still got a long ways to go. We got to keep implementing his policies, particularly on the economic front. But there's a lot to be happy about.
So you're listing a lot of things that have you excited about what's to come. I'm a Trump voter. I'm excited about what's to come. In the state of Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker doesn't really seem to be excited about what's to come. This past weekend at a fundraiser, he said, I don't know if I'm going to get the quote exactly right, but he wants to castigate us at the soapbox and beat us at the ballot box. And I've been living through a few years here, as are the rest of us, of listening to the way the Democrats talked about rhetoric that led up to January 6th. Now we hear J.B. Pritzker saying very inflammatory things about how to push back against the Trump administration, and it sounds like the people who support him.
Well, I think it's disgraceful. I saw those comments. I read them. I saw them on TV. This is someone that represents Republicans and Democrats in the state of Illinois, and he's talking to half of our population in Illinois that are Republicans or conservatives, and it's disgraceful, the language, and frankly disgusting, the language he used. And that type of rhetoric we shouldn't have in our politics. And again, we had an election in November, got a new administration. Now is not the time for rhetoric or politics. It's policy. It's implementing the things that we ran on. And frankly, that's what I'm focused on doing. Unfortunately, J.B. Pritzker is focused on politics and trying to get ahead. And he, in many ways, has Trump deranged syndrome. He can't get over the fact that President Trump won and what he's doing to move the country forward.
So when J.B. Pritzker is speaking the way he's speaking, a lot of people assume he can't wait to be president, and that's where he's going. I enjoy listening to people criticize Trump's joking about a third term while we sit and wait and see if J.B. Pritzker is going to seek out a third term. Is he campaigning right now to be the president of the United States?
I think he is. And I think why is he not in Illinois, instead in New Hampshire on a Sunday night using that type of rhetoric? Again, I think that's a head scratcher for most folks in Illinois. And they prefer to have him in Illinois. But again, I think this is going to come back to haunt him. He's up for election in 2026. We'll see if he runs or not. I hope he doesn't run. But if he does, we got to make sure we have a top quality candidate to show a sharp contrast between, again, the policies of the liberal, progressive sanctuary city policies, and frankly, putting illegal immigrants ahead of the citizens of the state of Illinois. That'll be a narrative that we'll expose in next 2026 election.
So, Congressman, one last question, and we'll wrap it up here. Talking about what J.B. Pritzker might do in the next election, that means that Illinois could potentially see quite a sea change in the 2026 statewide election, along with the midterms. Trump was he was like +8, maybe +9 in the state of Illinois.
Right.
Congratulations to the Democrats on their districting to make sure that it doesn't reflect anywhere in the state legislature, of course. But I'm curious what kind of hope you would give Illinois voters about the midterms, about the statewide. We hold no statewide offices, is that correct? And a super minority in both chambers of the General Assembly. Do you think it could be different in 2026?
I do. If you look at the ground that President Trump made up in 2024, he closed the gap almost by 8 or 10 points in the state of Illinois. So he didn't even campaign in Illinois and made up a lot of ground. And so, and if you look at some of the areas that he won in Illinois that traditional Republicans haven't won, that gives us some hope. Secondly is, as you saw this past week, Senator Durbin is not running again. We have an open U.S. Senate seat, first time in 25 years that we have an open Senate seat there. That gives us an opportunity to put up a good Republican candidate and taking on J.B. Pritzker, who clearly is focused on running for president. We'll see whether he runs again for governor. But if he doesn't, again, that's an open governorship. We have a lot of good people that are interested in both of those seats. And that gives us a lot of hope as Republicans to fix the direction of Illinois. There's a lot of good folks in the state of Illinois that want to fix Illinois, and I'm a fourth generation Illinoisan. That's where we're raising our family at. I still believe in Illinois, and we have some really, really good people. So that's what's going to keep me going. Again, to do everything I can to stand shoulder to shoulder with the voters of Illinois to change the direction.
And just one quick follow-up: do you have any advice to the the Republican Party, on making sure we get across the finish line?
Well, I think a couple things. We need to fix our election laws. We need voter ID in the state of Illinois, which we're working on at the federal level. We need to also focus on vote by mail, which Democrats have done a better job. That's the law of the land in Illinois. We have to do a better job in doing that. And I think we got to start recruiting now good candidates to run at every level, whether that's state rep or state senator or statewide office. Again, stepping up to be part of the solution in Illinois is a part of that. And so I think candidate recruitment can start now.
Well, Congressman LaHood, I appreciate the time. Thank you for welcoming me into your office, and I'd like to talk to you again soon.
Great to have you. Thanks, Annie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was Congressman Darren LaHood from his office in Capitol Hill. And I thought we had a good conversation there about really
the effect of the 100 days of Donald Trump in office, but also how we might be seeing that in Illinois coming up. Illinois we have the opportunity. Last Friday, I went to the Red Gala. I've been gone since then and was able to go to an event with over 1,000 people there to see Byron Donalds speak at the Illinois Republican Party. Red Gala is a new event. This is the second year that they've done that, I believe. And that room was full of people. And it's interesting to go do that in like Chicagoland area, because I see all the same people in a good way, in a very positive way, when I go to anything that's really downstate, which is basically everything but where I was. And there's a lot of motivation to get this one right in 2026. I'm excited about that part.
It was cool listening to you talk to Darren LaHood, because I never really think about the fact that there could be things done for Illinois at the federal level. Obviously, that should exist. I just don't think about that. And the fact that he's there talking about that and you just talked to him was kind of encouraging.
Yeah. Well, I think we're just like we're at the precipice of something that could be so, in Illinois specifically. We had one caller say earlier that all Donald Trump would have to do is just not be Joe Biden. Like that would have been enough and he would have gotten a passing grade. In Illinois, there isn't much that needs to be done. There's a lot that could be done, but there's a lot that could just be undone that would free up the Illinois voters, the taxpayers, the citizens of the state to be prosperous once again. You see a lot of talk coming from JB Pritzker. He's always out there lobbing, cherry bombs to try to make a point and to get the attention. But I don't really see him talking about policy in opposition to what Donald Trump is offering his people. And his state has an out-migration problem. A business out-migration problem. People don't want to come here to do business. People want to come to Illinois to have their abortions, and then they go back to their home state. Everybody I know complains about it. Even the Democrats in the state of Illinois know that it's a disaster.
Isn't that funny? I know a lot of people in Chicago just because of the fact that I went to college in SIUC, a lot of Chicago friends and stuff still. A lot of them in the communications industries and stuff up there. They're very few and far between of them are centrist, let alone Republican. They're mostly Democrats, and they hate it. they like certain aspects of Chicago, but it's the same stuff we like about Chicago. We like Lakeshore Drive. We like some of the energy that it used to have. A lot of stuff going on all the time.
Do you think here's a big question that we can answer with zero evidence? Do you think that the Democrats cheat to win every election in the state of Illinois? I mean, what percentage of your mind considers that to be a reality? I'm thinking it's at least 25%.
25% of your mind
of my mind thinks that there's cheating involved in the political system in the state of Illinois.
I would agree with that. If the question is that they cheat in every election, I don't think that's the case. But Illinois and Chicago in particular have had such a bad reputation for election cheating since before that was a thing we talked about. That dead people voting and like mob stuff and whatever, all the stuff that you could possibly think of what election cheating looks like pre-Trump era was all, yep, that's Chicago. So there's no doubt in my mind that there's election cheating. It's just, what does it look like? How do they carry it out? How extensive is it? I don't know the answers to those things.
The Democrats hold every single statewide office in the state of Illinois. The Democrats hold a supermajority in the House, a supermajority in the Senate, so a supermajority in the General Assembly. Now, if you go to Missouri, my understanding is that there's a supermajority of Republicans in both chambers. And doesn't Missouri have every statewide as a Republican now? I believe they do.
I think so.
Just because that status exists in the state of Illinois, I don't think you can look at that and be like, well, they must be cheating. Unless you do the same thing on the Missouri side of the river, where Republicans are elected. Like maybe Missouri is that red of a state. Maybe Illinois is that blue of a state. Do you know that if we win 22% of the Chicago vote, 22%, that we win the statewide elections?
That's wild. That's Cook County, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Do you know where it is now? Like how far away from 22% is it at the moment?
I think that Darren Bailey got like 19 or something like that.
Really?
Yes. He was in striking distance. The amount of votes that the Democrat Party has banked before election day, and the amount they get dumped in after election day is mind-blowing. That doesn't inherently mean that just because they're not voted on election day that they're not real ballots. But this is how they operate.
It seems difficult to not get 20% in anywhere. No matter where you go, there's always going to be a certain percent. Even the reddest area of the country, you're going to have 20% of people show up and vote Democrat, you know? So that's surprising that it's that low that would tilt the rest of the entire state red.
It's pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
I think this will be in the conversation we have tomorrow in my interview with Congresswoman Mary Miller. I visited her yesterday as well and had a great sit-down conversation with her, talked a lot about families and the future. So we'll have that for you tomorrow. But one thing that she talked about, and I'm not 100% sure this part was on the actual official interview, but she was talking about precinct committeemen and how we need them. We need great precinct committeemen and women. And this is a very simple concept, but I think people talk about that specific role a lot, and it seems complicated to me. And she said it in a way that made it very clear. They need to know who their voters are in their district, in their precinct, I should say, and they need to get those voters to show up and vote. That's what the precinct committeeman or precinct committee woman does. I mean, I'm sure they do more than that, but the point is, if you serve in that role, your job is to understand the people, the voting people who are in your district, and then you're supposed to show up and make sure that the Republicans vote. And if you're a Democrat precinct committeeman, you're supposed to show up and do whatever you need to do to make sure that the Democrats in your precinct vote. I feel like we could do better at that, of course, but like, how do we help the people who have signed up to do that? Are there precincts that don't have people representing? Is that something that you think that you would be good at and wouldn't even know where to start? If you think that you would be willing to fill in that capacity, you should message me on the Annie Fry Show Facebook page, because I'll connect you with the right people.
That's something we need in this area.
Everywhere is needed. And if it's not the actual precinct committeeman or committeewoman, it's the help that you can provide that person who can maybe do the heavy lifting on it. And then you can find out, okay, well, I know the people in my cul-de-sac. Let me find my precinct committeeman or committeewoman and say, let me talk to the people in my cul-de-sac. How can I help? Because it's not so much like we were saying before, who do you know in Chicago who loves the job JB Pritzker is doing? They might despise the thought of a Republican being in office, but they're not going to tell you that JB Pritzker is doing a great job. And that's how Donald Trump got elected, because they couldn't support the guy who was in there doing the job. And enough people didn't show up or crossed over and voted for the other guy, maybe while they held their nose. How do you maximize turnout? Don't think about the state of Illinois. Stop thinking about Cook County and why it's such a problem. If you aren't working in your district, in your precinct, to help turn out 5 votes, you got to know 5 people, one household that's got a few voters in it, that you could show up and say, hey, it's really important that we vote in this election. Are you going to vote? Do you know about the candidates? And if they do know and they are going to vote, then the job is done. Encourage them to vote early and get their ballot banked. But focus on your area and then kick butt at it, because it's a turnout problem.
And I don't think we're just talking about door knocking. There are very sophisticated methods that these these groups have now, and more as we go. I've gotten to know, you've of course probably introduced me to some of these local people. We're going to the annual St. Clair County GOP golf tournament, not this Monday, but next, because those people, you meet them and you're like, you guys do a lot with a little. And so it's cool to see, just how much is one person or even a few people are able to accomplish in our area, both Madison and St. Clair.
I'm glad you pointed that out because I'm not 100% sure, but I bet you could still get on that golf scramble, the St. Clair County GOP. If you find the St. Clair County GOP on Facebook or whatever, sign up and go to that golf tournament and we'll be out there. We'd love to see you. The YouTube live chat poll, you need to grade President Trump's first 100 days, A, B/C, D, or F. Come vote and tell us what you think. And we'll get to the results and some more of your comments when we come back. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
One of the things about Civia law that is so important, and this is something that you're going to learn the hard way, but I'm trying to help you learn it the easy way. Civia law is there to help you through life's transitions, and they can anticipate a lot of these transitions. They can tell you, the natural course of life and the way things happen. They can help make those transitions easier to go through, more peaceful, give you the peace of mind that everything is in order. They'll assist you with your legal needs in the area of estate planning and elder law, also any special needs, real estate, personal injury, business, online forms that you are needing help with. When you call 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, you're going to be connected with the people who can help you through those life's transitions. Protect yourself. Protect your loved ones. Visit any of their 7 locations across Illinois and Missouri. In Illinois, they have Edwardsville, East Alton, Swansea, a new office in Centralia and in Mount Vernon. In Missouri, in Wentzville and Creve Coeur. Book your strategy session today with Civia Law, 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL. Find them online at civialaw.com.
Camping season is here, and so is the Apache Village RV Open House. Join us Friday, May 2nd and Saturday, May 3rd at 2 great locations, 9001 Dunn Road in Hazelwood and 971 Wilmer Road in Wentzville. Apache Village RV, family owned for over 50 years, is here to help you hit the road and make lifelong memories. Explore 200 plus new and used RVs from Jayco, Keystone, Fleetwood, and Bontrager Outdoors. And right now is the best time to buy. Tariffs are pushing the 2026 prices up, but 2024s and 2025s are still at the lowest prices of the year. With payments starting at just $160 a month with approved credit, your next adventure is closer than ever. Enjoy free food, drinks, door prices, and huge savings all weekend. Mention this 97.1 ad and get a shot at $500 to the Apache Village Parts Store. Apache Village RV, where your journey begins the moment you walk through the door. Go one better. Go Apache Village RV.
Good afternoon. It's Mark Reardon. It's a Friday. That means a Reardon Roundtable is set to kick off in just a matter of minutes after Fox News at 3. Jane Duker on the panel. State Rep Steve Butts, the mayor of Eureka, Sean Flower. A lot to talk about, including the arrest of a judge in Wisconsin and another one out west. It's all coming up.
This station is now conducting a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Last chance to vote in today's YouTube live chat poll right now. Grade the first 100 days of the Trump administration, A, B/C, D, or F. Let us know what you think. It is 2:49. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Fry Show.
Have you ever been close to tragedy? Been close to folks who have? Have you ever felt the pain so powerful, so heavy you collapse? No. Well.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. It is so good to be back in the studio. Here's the biggest takeaway that I have from being in Washington, D.C. The biggest takeaway that I have is that we are so blessed to get to do what we do for a living. The length of the workday, and I'm not saying this like as I didn't like being there because it was too much work or it was too long or whatever. My lifestyle right now does not fit into what these people have to do their jobs. And I'm saying that as a mother and as a wife. I was standing talking to some people in the press room at one point during the day, and one of them was talking about, I hope I'd really like to have a husband and kids one day. And they were just kind of like talking about the future, like they would like to have a family and kind of talking about how it's not really compatible. You got to be married to your job. And so, for some people, that's fine. And it's an opportunity of a lifetime. So you take it and you do it the best you can with it. But it's kind of amazing to see, we get these little snippets of what these reporters are doing every day. We just get the clip that hits our social media feed or maybe makes it onto the news channels or whatever. It's a long day. It's a tough job in the sense that it's very competitive and it's very, I'll just say it's very competitive. And I just like, the biggest thing about it is I was like, do these people know how to have fun? And it's not like they were not happy people. They were happy they're doing what they love. But I just think about how much fun we have every day. And like, that's not why they're there. That's not why they're supposed to be there. And I just thought, I like that we get to do what we do, like, and come in and have these conversations that we have. They go wherever they go and we have fun. I hope if you're listening that you have fun as well, of course, but it's just different.
There's not room for a goofy reporter there, like a Gary Wood.
I don't know. I didn't try.
Mr. President, Gary Wood.
You can lobby if we get this opportunity again or some sort of DC opportunity again. You can lobby that Gary Wood goes.
I am. No, I will not do that. I will lobby that Ryan Wiggins goes and then bring a costume.
What was it? We're all Gary Wood.
We're all Gary Wood in a way. There's a little Gary Wood in all of us. I was really worried that you were not going to make it here today.
Why?
Because I was worried I was not going to make it here today.
Why?
I got a flat tire this morning.
A flat tire?
Well, okay, look, I want credit. I was dropping off my tithe at church. And I came out and I saw...
Are you boasting? This is kind of pharisaical.
I would never do that.
Nobody in the history of radio. This is the first time. This is the first time in the history of radio someone's been like, I want to tell you a story. And it starts with, I was dropping off my tithe at church. I thought you said tie. And I thought, why is he dropping off his tithe?
No, not my tithe.
Wait a second.
My tithe.
Yeah, okay.
But I didn't, the doors were closed. So I was like, I was frustrated. I didn't know.
So
if
you
anybody
told
was
God,
there.
well, I tried.
So I said, well, that's not my fault.
Oh.
But as I was walking back, I was walking in a weird place because I was trying other doors, and I saw a tire on the opposite side that I didn't normally see. It had what I would describe as a goiter on it. And if you don't know what a goiter is, it's a large growth that comes out the side of the tire.
A large growth.
And it was bulbous and looked like it was ready to explode.
You are strike 2 on disgusting words.
So
in this story,
I had to suddenly, this is at 9:30 this morning or 9 o'clock. So I had to suddenly call my mechanic and say, oh my gosh, I need you to fix this because I didn't think I could make it here. I thought this thing was going to explode.
I have a conspiracy theory on. I've like looked into this a little bit on flat tires. Do you know where you picked up whatever you picked up?
What do you mean?
Did you get a flat? I mean,
no, it wasn't flat. It was just about to blow up.
It's like a Dr. Pimple Popper situation.
Yes, it was.
Ew.
It was full of that stuff too.
What was what? Ew. So what did you do? Did you put a flat on it?
No,
Or,
I took
put
it to the mechanic, and he was able to dig through everything and find one random tire that he's like, oh, I think I can get this on there. And then here's the crazy thing. Right after that, I was like, oh, I need to, because I was going to take you home today because you came straight from the airport. I was going to clean out my car for you.
Oh, is it that bad?
So I was.
You weren't going to clean it out. You were going to hide everything.
Just the main seat.
Just the part I can see. Don't look at
So
that.
I pulled over after he put that
This is
tire
my
on
fault.
and went to a Dollar General, and I started cleaning it out. And then I went into the Dollar General because I felt bad that I didn't buy anything, and I went to buy something, and I couldn't find my key. All of a sudden, the key that for the car was gone.
Oh no.
So I had to dig through the trash outside of Dollar General, and then I found that key. And that was all for you.
There are so many flat tires. This has almost been a YouTube poll. It might still be if you've had a flat tire in the last 3 to 4 months. I feel like there's been something done to the roads where people are picking up nails because I know so many people. I've had 2 flat tires.
I picked one up.
Well, the potholes are just terrible. That's how I got mine.
Well, I don't. That's
I hit a
mine have
pothole.
been nails for sure. The YouTube live chat poll today: grade the first 100 days of the Trump administration. Ryan, your answer real quick.
A.
Brad.
I'm an A on that as well.
Yeah, A. To me, it's an easy A. Ethan, your thoughts on the YouTube live chat poll today before we wrap?
Yeah,
Grade him.
I'm giving him an A. I mean, everything that he is doing, if it hasn't gotten to the point where you're seeing the success in the results yet, the intention is clearly there, and he's trying to get something to change.
Why don't you give us the results?
The results today for today's YouTube live chat poll: 254 votes on grade the first 100 days of President Trump's administration. 67% give him an A, 28% give him a B/C, and only 2% give him a D, and 4% give him an F.
That's a 94% C or better. Thank you for being with us here today. I will, of course, be back with everybody tomorrow for more coverage. Stick around. Reardon Show coming up next.
So beat the drum with me.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With TrueHold, you can sell your home for its current value so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. TrueHold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since TrueHold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit TrueHold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com.
Baseball is all about stepping up.